ladies and gentlemen. All right. It's time. We're back. It's Sunday. It's the evening. It might be early Monday morning, depending on whatever happens to Jeff. Sometimes Jeff has to take a little time to get the podcast up.
Absolutely.
If you want a steak, you can't rush the steakman. You've got to let the steakman steak up a steak for you. You can't be like, I want a steak and I want it now. You got to give it a little bit of time. You got to pack it in salt.
It depends on what type. It depends on how you like your steak made.
You got it.
If you want it rare, you can kind of rush them.
Yeah, but
kind of.
You know what?
But in podcast terms, that's really not a great edited thing.
I used to eat my steaks very, very, very rare back before I started doing any type of cooking, and I would just like slap them in a hot pan, and they're basically cold in the middle, and then pull them out. And I've learned better since then. I've learned that if you take your time to cook a medium steak, it can taste way better than just like a bloody piece of cow.
Exactly.
But on that special note, welcome to a meaty edition of the Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select. I am Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And before we get started, we usually tend to have this kind of beginning part where we talk about stuff, that we've done over the week. Unfortunately, I feel like I've been having a real weird week this week. I mean, like, Divinity Original Sin 2 came out, and I've been playing that on the PlayStation 4. I mean, it came out on the consoles this week.
Yeah.
But I've already talked at length about Divinity Original Sin 2. I watched Megalobox on Crunchyroll, which is pretty cool. I don't know that I have a whole shit ton more to say out of that. It's interesting to watch a Japanese show, especially one that's about fighting, where they never do that kind of bullshit like anime power-up stuff.
Okay.
Like, it's just like the boxing is kind of like regular boxing. Like, people keep their hands up. And, there's some of that, like, oh, I can see his movements coming. But, like, a lot of it is just interesting because it's not, it's not like the main character suddenly develops the ability to punch a guy through a wall. It's just, dudes beating on each other in the future.
That means I think you would like... Apparently, this is a huge thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Sports animes. There's animes that are sports related.
Yeah.
And they're never like about powering up and shit. It's just about a guy who's really good at basketball, a guy who's really good at baseball, that shit like that. Apparently, these are all the rage, and people I know who aren't in sports whatsoever love the shit out of these animes.
Yeah. See, I don't know. With Megalobox, I mean, like, the dudes have big armors on when they box, right? And there's the kind of the scrappy guy. I think that if I was watching a show about, like, say, baseball, I know that, Japan loves baseball and shit, that, like, in that case, I want them to get, like, super powered up anime bullshit and have it be like Shaolin soccer, basically, because that would make baseball interesting, because otherwise baseball's fucking boring. I am sorry if you're a fan of baseball. I've gone to a baseball game in person. Holy shit, is it boring?
It's America's pastime, and I will leave it back there because I don't need it right now.
Yeah, I got no use for baseball. I really basketball I could watch, but like other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, apparently there's these great animes that are just based on random sports.
Yeah,
I don't know any of them by name, but apparently they're really well known.
Well, I've gone through that one, and I think I got one more on the horizon. It's got some kind of crazy ass name, some kind of spaceship show on Crunchyroll that I want to watch, where it's like, the feuding space war kingdoms, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's where Jeff likes to live. Is in
I'm
the
sure I've heard of it. I just don't know what it would be.
Yeah, it's got some weirdo. It's one of those ones that got like an eight word
super
name.
long
name. Or some bullshit like that. I don't know. I'll have figured it out by next week. I'm sure that my new favorite pastime has become just sitting in this recording room after everything is done with my PlayStation 4 gold headphones on, just like chugging beers and watching anime and being like, yeah,
you got the bug again.
I did. Happens. Well, and it's worked out really well because I feel like there's been plenty of time for stuff to come out, right? Yeah. Like I used to watch a lot of anime back in the old days, and I think that maybe the other thing is that just like there's a real... I'm just not interested in that much on TV these days.
That's fair.
Like... The Good Place season 2 just came out on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm going through that right now.
Bam! I just watched all the way through that. That is such a good show.
I'm on like episode 9 of that season. It's really, really good.
And it's so fast. You just zip through it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say before we jump into all the rest of this stuff is just a couple of things. yesterday I had a 21-hour day, and I got like 3 hours of sleep. And then I recorded with Amanda. I wanted to tell people that I feel that over the last year I've been working this job, and I've been working some side stuff. Anybody that's listened to this podcast knows I've been working for Brian Brushwood doing some editing and stuff for him, and I've gotten to the end of my rope. So pretty soon, I think I'm going to be kicking some of that stuff back a little bit and trying to kind of refocus. I'd love to get back into streaming some stuff.
Oh, okay.
There's been, I was playing Divinity Original Sin 2 today, and I was like, I should probably be streaming this. It's just that I got 3 hours of sleep the night before and 6 hours of sleep last night, and I'm just like, ugh.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm hoping that kind of running into the holiday season, and especially starting in 2019, I feel like there's some stuff that I'd like to do to just kind of get Rage Select back into my kind of primary focus.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I just kind of state of the world. I've just been exhausted for okay, well, I can't really remember a time
That's
where
how exhausted you are. I
haven't
even remember.
Yeah, where I really have gotten a good night's sleep, but I don't know. Hopefully good stuff is coming. I know that I say that constantly. It's a bad habit of mine where I'm just like, oh, we're going to do a lot of exciting stuff next week. And then I'm like, I got tired.
You're starting to sound like George R.R. Martin. The dragons are coming, I swear. The pizzas are coming.
Yes. So anyway, I don't know. Look forward to that. Before we jump in, though, Mike, real fast, how's your week been?
It's been really good. I was catching up on The Good Place as well.
Yeah.
I've also started watching the second season of Stand Against Evil, which was recommended to me.
What's that?
Not too long. It's a show starring John C. McGinley from Scrubs.
Okay.
He plays a town sheriff or an ex-town sheriff who lives in a place where every sheriff after a certain sheriff was murdered brutally except for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out the reason why he wasn't was because his wife was protecting him the whole time.
Okay.
So there's a new sheriff in town now, and so the two of them have to fight evil in his wife's absence. And it's actually really interesting. The first episode is super hard to get through. I'm not going to lie, the first one.
Okay.
Because it's really sexist right off the bat. But everything after that isn't as bad kind of thing.
All right, fair enough. By the way, I would just like to say at the end of this, seriously, if you haven't watched The Good Place and you got
watch
Netflix,
The Good Place. It's really good.
I kind of held off through all of season 1, and then it came onto Netflix, and I was like, "What's this all about?" And I was like, "Holy shit, this is awesome!"
Yeah, I discovered The Good Place in the middle of season 2.
Yeah,
but Hulu didn't have the beginning of season 2, so I couldn't watch it. I was like, "No, I know it's on right now. I can't watch it."
Yeah, really. I mean, just it's one of those things. I was talking with Amanda about this on, I think it was on one of our Gay Tony Patreon video, about how it's such a joy to watch a show that's well constructed. I was talking about Better Call Saul, which has just been freaking dynamite. 4th season, still dynamite, just as good, if not better. And The Good Place, it's just so great to watch a show where I'm like, hey, look, all the jokes are funny, and it's well constructed,
it's
and
so
it's
smart,
got a good pace, and it moves along, and great. So if you haven't watched it, I don't know if I can understand there for a while, because you look at that thumbnail and you're just like, now what's this? This might be a little bit too easy going for me. And
the hardest thing about it is explaining it without revealing certain things about it.
Yes.
But one of my favorite things about the show is that they're not allowed to cuss in The Good Place.
Oh, yes.
And so they have to come up, these writers come up with creative ways to make them cuss without cussing.
Yes.
They'll say, holy mother forking shirt.
Yeah.
Is one of my favorite ones. And that'll just keep happening, and you'll hear it, and you'll be like, "Why did they say that?" And you're like, "Wait a second, it's because they're trying to say something else."
Yeah, Kristen Bell's character swears a lot, and it's really cool how it just kind of rolls off of her tongue as if she's saying regular obscenities, because it's literally in this world those words are changed when they're coming out of your mouth to be something else.
I was watching one of the latest ones. She's like, yeah, she's such a forking bench. Yes. And I was just like, wait a second. It's shit like that. And it's amazing because they just say it like as if it's just normal vernacular, and it just works.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so
and then
good.
It's been a long time since I've seen Ted Danson, but Ted Danson is he's just a breath of fresh air.
He's the best. It reminds me why I loved Ted Danson years ago when I watched Cheers as a kid. Yeah. And then because before this, he was on CSI or something.
Yeah, he was on something that I wasn't really interested in.
And I was
watching.
just like, man, Ted Danson, I love you. Just don't stop doing this random shit. I want you to be in something great. And then when I found out he had a show called The Good Place, it's like, and everyone was raving about it. I'm like, I have to see this eventually.
Yep. So season 2's there. You can get all the way caught up to season 3 if you want to. My God, if you're sitting around going like, I want to watch something funny on Netflix. Oh, that new Disenchanted show is out. Don't watch that.
Yeah,
watch The Good Place.
The Good Place instead.
Watch The Good Place instead.
And I actually kind of like Disenchantment. Even I would say watch The Good Place instead.
Well,
100%.
it's such a dramatic. Like I watched. My girlfriend's been watching Futurama. Like after she watched Disenchantment, she was like, and kind of just got back into watching Futurama. Watching Futurama, just like, God damn, is this a good show?
It's a way better show.
Anyway,
though.
before we start talking about how great Futurama is for another 20 minutes, let's get back into it because something amazing. Okay, I feel like in the very beginning, y'all, you need to strap in and like close your windows and sit down because we have such a great place to start and then we go to such a dark place after that and then we're going to try to even you out. It's like, imagine, in a roller coaster where the first thing is you just go way up and then you go way down.
Yeah.
And then there's like just a bunch of other stuff.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Yes. It's a roller coaster of love. Say what? But first, I did not think, this is crazy to me because, okay, let's not bury the lead here. The CD Projekt Red put out their full 48-minute E3 demo, what they showed behind closed doors of Cyberpunk 2077. This is amazing because, like, they had like a 45-minute demo for The Witcher 3, and they never put that shit out for people to watch.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, I couldn't really say, but this thing is hella impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's like an understatement, to be honest. Although there is a sequence in here that you probably do not want to watch this in front of your parents with.
Oh no, this game has some titties in it,
and
so
that, like, literally it's just right in your face for like a giant chunk of it.
Yep.
Because you're literally carrying that person.
Yep. But no, you know what? It really looks like if Deus Ex had a baby with The Witcher 3, like
it really does.
Because
it's like a really dirty Deus Ex.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like Deus Ex, if Deus Ex was like a Marvel movie and not like a Christopher Nolan movie, right?
I can see that, yeah.
It's all just like, hey man, it's the future. We're gonna blast some shit. It's gonna be drama. It's gonna be this dude with a big beard and a gold arm, and then there's like, the other
it's
thing,
like Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, yeah.
Like at least the kind of colorfulness with the darkness with it.
I mean, the aesthetic that they've got here of going this kind of like retro 80s futurism stuff, I think it really, really works.
It's gorgeous. Every time like I watch it, I'm just like, man, I can't fucking wait for this game to exist.
What I think is really very impressive is at the beginning, it's kind of like you're in this apartment block, but then there's a moment where the main character kind of steps out like into the actual world, and there's so many NPCs. It's like it's like a Hitman level or like GTA or something.
It's pretty intense.
As opposed to, I feel like at Deus Ex, I love Deus Ex, but everything seems like it's very much going in these tiny little gameplay loops. It doesn't feel as messy as what I'm seeing here.
Although everyone knows Kung Fu in the original Deus, or not the original, but the Deus Ex they came out with. You remember that?
No.
If you did a counter kill or something to anybody, no matter what they were, they would do those. They would do that intense Kung Fu animation.
Oh.
So if you walked up to some random person in the street, they would know that all the intense Kung Fu, even if it was just like some random hooker on the corner.
Yeah, the Matrix.
It was pretty amazing.
Matrix is very popular in the future. I do kind of like this part at the very beginning where it's like you have to wait for the crosswalk lest you get run over.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really surprised me was the beginning of this is kind of sets up as I would have expected, but I think the thing that really surprised me was the driving, the like open world actual driving aspect, and not this part at the beginning where you get in the car with this guy, but like after you're done with that, you literally get into a car and start like driving through the city, kind of, it seems like wherever you want to. And I mean, I guess that makes a certain amount of sense based on like, The Witcher 3 and the way that you can just ride your horse wherever you want to. But I guess in games like this where you're in a big city, I guess I felt like there was going to be more like a kind of a more tightly controlled just area that you could go to, that it would be more kind of like cordoned off.
I'm very curious as to how the driving works with the shooting sequence that The audio listeners who can't see this, but
right, that we're looking at right now.
A shooting sequence within the driving motion, whether or not it has like an autopilot or something, maybe.
Well, I think in that one she actually says specifically for her partner to like take the wheel.
But does it work like an autopilot for like Far Cry? Essentially, is what I mean.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, CD Projekt Red has so far shown that, like, The Witcher 3 has its few hiccups here and there, but in general, it's a very easy system to get into, and this kind of looks very similar. I do like the point at the beginning, like, it's obvious, I feel like, and even though this might change, that we're seeing, like, the first hour of the actual game, because the way that it starts is, you're having this kind of not a lot of powers and not a lot of stuff, and then the first thing that you do is end up going to this kind of, I don't know, I forget what they've got a specific name for them, basically a cyber suite thing where this guy literally like installs an eye that gives you more heads up display and the ability to like mark targets and stuff like that.
I'm so excited for this game.
It looks really, really good. Like everything, I'm having a hard time finding anything about this that I don't really like.
Because the thing about the video as well, unlike say the Watch Dogs demo thing that came out a long time ago, is that all of this looks plausible. There isn't anything about all of these movements and especially with how long it is. All of this could actually be the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
By the time it comes out,
nothing comes up here as like excessively scripted or that it would be something. Now, it is worth noting, of course, that the Witcher 3 E3 demo that I was talking about, that there were some things that happened that they were described in that demo that didn't actually make it into the full game. So,
well, even graphically, it looks like it could probably like it looks like. It doesn't look impossible for these graphics to work.
Yes, it looks like a feasible, like these graphics could be like in a feasible video game and not like super touched up to make it look like.
Yeah, it's not like a Blur trailer, basically.
Right. Now, I will say that I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to see specifically like cyberspace. Like there was some definite kind of hacking, but it seemed to come down to a lot of like menus that came up for doing certain things. I wish, or I'm hoping that there is specifically a cyberspace. Okay, I'm just gonna put my cards on the table here. Fucking Shadowrun for the Genesis is one of my favorite games of all time. I fucking love it. I love the way that it's like a third-person top-down ARPG kind of thing, but then it also has this whole cyber, like going into the Matrix and hacking stuff, and I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to go into the Matrix and hack stuff, and I want it to be a separate video game that looks nothing like this, that's not that bullshit Deus Ex multiplayer mode where everything's diamonds.
I don't know, it all depends on how that would play, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
Although for some reason the first thing I thought about going into cyberspace, I don't know why, was the RoboCop versus Terminator comic.
Okay.
Like, it was very strange why that popped in my head first. I don't know.
That is a little strange. I guess it just goes to show where your mind's at.
Apparently.
There's a lot of, it's funny, there's actually, up to the very end, there's actually not a whole shit ton of actual like shooting gameplay. There's some at the very beginning, and there's kind of some at the very end, and there's that one road sequence in between. It looks though like, you're going to be getting some kind of cool powers. I like the way that nothing that I saw here, as far as like at the end of the trailer, they basically bring up they said that like, okay, we're going to activate some like powers that you wouldn't be able to get to later, and it's like ricochet around a thing. But I like the fact that they see, it seems like they haven't resorted to magic like a lot of times in the future, and it's just like, oh, you got the nanotech implant that lets
you use the Force, basically
shoot fireballs out of your hands. And I kind of like the fact that this is a little bit more like slow motion, down and dirty, kind of using this cyber stuff, but in a way that all feels consistent with the game and isn't just like, oh, now you've got magic powers. So,
which I do appreciate greatly.
Yeah.
But only time will tell if it will keep that sort of thing.
Yeah. It appears to be a lot of like weapon customization, character customization. They said that there aren't like specific classes that you're just going to level up in certain ways by doing stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's always kind of a weird. It's always curious to know how that plays out. Like whether it ends up being something like, what is it, an Elder Scrolls 4, where you just hide and then you just walk away from your you can hide in the tutorial area and then just set down the controller and come back in like a day, and your stealth is at 100, and then just makes the rest of the game like kind of garbage.
It all depends. Maybe it'll have a a mode where you can hire the dance mode and then you can have a dance off with the final boss or something.
There you go. There you go.
That would be pretty great, actually.
But yeah, I really like everything that I'm seeing here. Like, I think that this is looking solid, and that's good. I don't see. Let me put it this way: I've been doing this whole talking about video game thing for 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And in general, I've gotten a bit of a sense about when you watch a trailer, like especially something that's like a gameplay demo like this, where you can see stuff that sets off warning bells in your brain where you're like, whoa, wait, why was that like that? Nothing in this, to me at least, seems to be setting off any of the like, oh shit.
The only one that does still for me is the driving sequence.
Yeah.
And that's only because everything kind of moves very smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time I'm like, well, this could be a scripted part, but that's the only part that even remotely sets off that alarm for me.
Yeah, it's possible. So anyway, I guess we'll see soon. I guess, well, not soon. I guess we still don't have.
We've got quite a ways.
Anything well,
because they said what, like 2020?
I don't think they've had a release date yet.
Well, they said like as late as or early as or something like that a long time ago. I don't remember. Like they hinted that at earliest that's probably the closest they'll get.
I think, to be honest, I think that we're looking at late next year because there's already reports that the core backbone of the game is in place. This is already a very, very well put together. I mean, like this. I don't know if they're going to end up working longer on like the textures and stuff, but this demo looks like a very finished product. Like I don't see anything here that I would feel like would be a needs a huge change between here and the actual release. I don't know. I guess it'll depend. I don't think that it'll be much past. If it's not late next year, I feel like it'll be.
I'd say early 2020.
Early 2020,
depending on how big this game can be.
Yeah.
I could see it being a few years, but they've been working on this for ages.
That's true. It's true. I feel like it'll probably just depend on how the rest of the development cycle goes, right? Like if everything goes really well, it's probably possible that we could see something by the end of next year. But who knows? All right. Well, that's a great thing. If you haven't seen this trailer, I highly recommend going and watching it because it definitely looks really, really cool, really, really badass. So, all right, now we have to do some badness. Because last weekend at a Madden tournament in Jacksonville, guy shot the place up.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna. I don't know. Philip DeFranco does this thing, and I kind of like it of not using the guy's name because I don't want to give him,
We'll call him fuck that guy.
Yeah. So the story is basically that in an open air kind of it was like a sports bar type of place.
Yeah.
They were having one of the Madden kind of like tournament qualifiers, and the shooter apparently was eliminated very early and then apparently left and went to his car and got guns and then came back in and shot, I believe it was 4 people and then injured several others, or killed 4 people, injured several others, and then killed himself. Or no, 4 people including himself. So I believe it's 3 people and then himself.
Something like that.
It seemed to a lot of the onlookers, from what I've been able to ascertain, that he was targeting the players specifically. And given that he was eliminated early in the tournament, the kind of general knowledge here seems to be, or the general thinking seems to be, I'm not going to go into it too much, but this guy had like a serious background of mental instability.
Yeah, it turns out the dude was nutso.
Yeah, he was not in a great place. And I think it seems pretty clear that he probably got beat out of the tournament, lost his shit, went out and decided to exact some revenge and that whatever. But so first off, I mean, like, just fuck that, man. It's Madden. Like, I don't.
That was the thing. That was the other thing that caught me off guard. It was Madden. Well, Madden was what was the first time this happened, and that amazes me for some reason.
So I
don't know why.
I have some theories about that. I think that competitive Madden is actually a lot bigger than maybe you or I or a lot of the people, because I know that. Okay, if the EA Sports section of E3 is any indication, the hardcore fans of Rage Select are not super into sports games. But I have a feeling that there is a whole thing of people watching competitive Madden, playing competitive Madden, that we're just not privy to because we're not interested. The same way
I worked with a guy who was like that. He was very much like, hey, you have a PS4? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you have Madden? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And then he just stopped talking to me after that. I was just like, okay, that was weird.
But see, I feel like the difference is that unlike, okay, so Evo, Dota, Overwatch, right?
Yeah.
Those are all like, I feel like those tend to be in much more contained spaces where they're doing playoffs and qualifiers and stuff like that. Like Evo is a big convention, right?
Yeah.
They have a lot of security. Evo is not at a bar in Jacksonville, Florida. Dota, the international does not take place in a Chili's in Raleigh, right? They have a fucking, I think it's at the Staples Center or whatever.
The qualifiers can vary, though.
Yeah, but I don't think that I don't know. I have a feeling that
at least for some of them. Like,
yeah.
I feel like with Evo, there's some especially bigger tournaments. Those tend to vary.
Yeah.
Like some fighting game tournaments that were like, if you beat us here, you can get further down.
Right.
Sometimes they're like in blockbusters, or at least one blockbusters in the Hollywood Video were still a thing. Because I remember there was a Dragon Ball one like that. It's like if you beat us here at this Hollywood Video or whatever, you'll be in another tournament somewhere like in Houston or some shit.
Well, you know what? That is definitely news to me. I really have not had that much.
Like I said, it varies.
I guess I'm kind of wrong. You know what? All I was thinking of was Overwatch, and like all the Overwatch playoff games, like that's like nobody's having the.
Well, one of the things about fighting games is all of those people are very tight knit.
Right.
Like those communities, like everyone basically knows everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know enough about Madden to say that's the same thing though.
So, a couple of things. One, EA basically came out and kind of said, like, they don't run these qualifying matches.
Yeah.
This has brought up a lot more questions in the future about like security and making sure that the people that do this stuff, that this kind of shit doesn't happen no more, because it's a real, I don't know, I mean, it's just kind of real kick in the nutsack about.
No, absolutely is one of the worst things that's ever happened.
Yeah,
especially the gaming. Like it's tough and it's a hard thing to really. Okay, so I'm gonna say this right away.
Yeah,
I watched the Twitch thing. I didn't watch the actual stream, but I watched the clip that came out, and I regret it 1,000%. Like, do not watch it. Like, I'm telling you this right now because it is disturbing as hell.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, this happened, and there were kids there, and there were people that just wanted to play a game, and it's heartbreaking for the idea that. Like, because one of the main things I'll mention about the video is that the very beginning of it is very normal. It's just like, hey, everything, like, we're gonna start this match. It's gonna be great. One of the guys who gets killed, he's smiling just before everything goes down, and it cuts from the camera on them to just like the gameplay itself, and then that's when everything starts happening.
Right.
One of the reasons this is disturbing, I guess, because I guess I'm just going to mention this part, is that you see a laser right on the guy just before it cuts from the camera.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's really fucked up.
Yep.
Because at that point, you realize what's about to happen. But yeah, the audio is something that I will probably not forget anytime soon.
Yeah. I can basically say, and I bring this up specifically to say, one, it kind of seems like this is... I mean, for lack of a better term, a wake-up call to, like, if you're into esports or if you're thinking of participating in esports or whatnot, I feel like this is I don't want to, it's not good. It's definitely not good. It's bad. It's bad. But, like, it is focusing people's attention on the fact that, like, as this stuff gets bigger, you're going to need security measures. You're going to need vetting. You're going to need to make sure that this stuff happens in a contained area where this kind of stuff can't happen.
Well, a lot of let's say nerdy groupings have been upping their security a lot lately. Not even just because of this, but even before this. Like with RTX, they have the metal detectors now.
Yeah.
And the year before that, that was forced on them, but it made sense why. Places, anime conventions, you can't have anything that's actually like an actual sword, for instance. Right. Like, you're not supposed to have guns in any shape or form. If you have like even a replica gun, they put something on it to make sure that everything's fine with it.
Yeah.
And so this has been it just continuously escalates though. Is that one like there was the thing with Jason David Frank. He's better known as the Green Ranger, basically.
Oh.
Somebody came to a convention with the idea of killing him. And he had a gun. He had a gun on him. He was this like chubby dude that called himself the Punisher for some fucking reason. It's very strange. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, there are people. They all have like they're people with mental issues who, you know, are part of these groups of people.
Yeah.
And so it's you got to be vigilant at this point. Like it's not like I'm not saying like stereotype these people kind of thing, because that doesn't mean they're all crazy. It's just that it's one of those things where it's fine to be paranoid on certain things like this.
Yeah.
And when it came to these kinds of things, the thing when it happened was I was more shocked that it hadn't happened before. Because I've been to a lot of these things. Like I've been to a lot of these tournaments. The reason I'm using quotes because they're not qualifiers and stuff. Sometimes they're just anime convention tournaments.
Right.
And people just lose their shit when they lose, and they'll walk off, and then, you know, they'll be fine afterwards. But that's the thing, is it was one of those things where I would always kind of look back at these people and be like, it wouldn't take a lot for that dude to just come back with some kind of weapon.
Snap.
There's just like.
Yeah,
it wouldn't take a lot at all.
I was trying to think of like, you know, we wanted to talk about this. I was kind of trying to boil down what I thought about it into a thesis statement. And I guess what I wanted to say is that, you know, not so much for me anymore, but like when I was in my 20s, man, I was mad. I was just mad as fuck at just all the time. I was just a ball of like, grrr, right? Like just fucking ready to yell at people, and I was mad. And, you know, the thing that really helps with that is having people to talk to, whether it's friends or family or a professional mental health expert or whatever, that like it's real easy to kind of let all that shit fester up inside of you. And I know that there's kind of, as you said, there is a weird stereotype with like kind of geek culture and people getting real fucking like mad at stuff, whatever it is, right? I can testify that you know, there are people on YouTube every so often. I unfortunately dabbled into the YouTube comments, but like, you know, there have been times where, and I'm not talking about anything specific, where I've had like I have disliked what somebody has liked, and their reaction to that has just been like fury, like just white hot rage, right? Like, and I mean, you know, like, I don't know, don't let that shit get to you. Don't like, if you find yourself getting, I used to have a friend, and I don't really hang out with this guy anymore because it's over about the course of 10 years, I realized it's like, he's really kind of a bad person. But like when he got mad at when he was playing a game and the game he would lose, he'd throw controllers. But he wouldn't just like throw controllers. He would throw them at the wall so hard that they broke. And it was just like, I don't think you should be playing. Like, if you see yourself doing that, maybe find a way to take a step back. Or maybe you don't need to be playing video games. Maybe you would need a hobby that makes you less like fueled with just, because, you know, there have been times where I see him die to the same boss 3 or 4 times, throw a controller, you know, break a $50 controller up against the wall, walk outside, and then just stand there like ready to kill anything that came near him. And I'm like, this isn't good. Video games are supposed to be fun. I mean, yeah, there's a challenge element to it, but they're supposed to be fun. So, you know, if you find yourself, I know that when I was younger, I was really mad. And if you find yourself really mad, please, like, just keep people around to kind of keep you in check, because, you know, you get real mad at something and then your friend is like, forget it, Jake, it's just Chinatown. And you're like, oh, all right, yeah, let's go get a pizza and watch, you know, some Futurama.
It's one of the reasons I don't try to play online fighting games as much anymore. Because I did lose my shit enough to throw a controller, not like maybe like 3-4 years, or not even that long ago. It was I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and this dude was just whooping my ass. Like literally nothing I did did anything, and I just lost my shit because my dog wouldn't leave me alone at the same time. And I'm like, I'm trying desperately to do this, buddy. I need you not to like bother me right now. Yeah. And by the time like it was over and the dog kept bothering me, I just lost my shit and I threw the controller, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna stop playing this game. And then it's not that I didn't go back to it. It's just that it was one of those things where it's like I shouldn't be feeling like this. And it was the reason I stopped playing Call of Duty because all of my friends were blaming each other for shit.
Yeah,
with Call of Duty, and it was just like this isn't fun.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be doing this if all we want to do is murder each other, and I mean each other as teammates.
Right.
That's not fun. Like that's not a thing. And so I just stopped playing Call of Duty entirely from that day on.
And you go play some Minecraft.
Exactly. So like
2 Points Hospital.
Exactly. Like so,
SimCity.
If you're not having fun with a game to the point where you just want to murder something,
right?
Then stop playing that fucking game.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
There have been times where I've been playing a game and I've been like, man, I fucking hate this level. I can't wait to get to the next level. Man, I hate this fucking level. I can't wait to. And then the game is over, and I'm just like, oh, I didn't like any of that. Like I was just. But yeah, the main thing is anger and frustration and these sorts of things. They're very powerful emotions, and a lot of games and a lot of gaming culture and a lot of this stuff. We're not going to spend too much more time on this because we got a shitload of other stuff to do. But I've talked to people, and this is not a broad generalization across the board. Anime fans, I feel like, will get really mad at you for.
Oh, they get mad for the dumbest shit too.
For stuff.
And my waifu is better than you. Fuck you.
It's one of those things where it starts to put me off of it because it's like, it's a thing you watch for enjoyment. Like I understand that you're very engaged with it, but like, goddamn, like
that's the reason I stopped watching anime for a chunk of my life.
Yeah, like
there was right after high school, I stopped watching anime for. Like maybe 4 years, something like that, and then somebody had me watch I think it was Tiger and Bunny was the first anime I'd watched after that, and then I got back into it. But but every now and then I'll see an anime fan that reminds me why I don't like hanging out with anime fans anymore.
Right. So anyway, let's move past that. We've got a bunch of other stuff to go over. So just if you feel mad all the time, go make sure that you got people to talk to. Don't be by yourself. Being by yourself can be a real drag sometimes.
Or take anger management.
Yeah.
Or at least watch that episode of King of the Hill where he has to take anger management.
Which I have not seen.
It's a fantastic episode.
Let's talk some Nintendo. We had a Nindies showcase showing a bunch of stuff that's coming to the Switch. And there's a lot of good stuff in here. Hyperlight Drifter is coming with a special edition with some cutout stuff. Towerfall is coming. Let's see. There's a puzzle game called Treasure Stack that we saw. I'm just kind of going down a list. There's one called Zarvot, which looked kind of boring to me, which was a game about a bunch of cubes.
It's literally its tagline, a game about cubes.
Yeah. I don't know. This could be the next Thomas is Alone, but who knows? Because Thomas is Alone looks like it's literally a bunch of...
It could be like that dick game.
Squares. Oh, like General Jousting?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. Mineko's Midnight Market or Mineko's Night Market looks pretty cool. Kind of like Animal Crossing with a kind of nifty style. But then at night it's like you're farming cats, you're cutting down stuff, you're making little heirlooms and then selling them to people. All with this kind of it reminds me of like Tearaway, I guess, that game Tearaway, but 2D kind of an art style like that.
I can see that.
Yeah, it looks relatively charming if you're into that kind of slice of life video games, which I'm not super into. Samurai Gun 2 is going to have is coming out. I don't know if people remember Samurai Gun from way back in the goddamn day when Jason and I played it.
Oh,
that was after we played Nidhogg, it was okay, Samurai Gun's the next one because it's you have a sword and you have 3 bullets and then you can play up to 4 people in this very kind of enclosed arena. What's kind of interesting about Samurai Gun 2 is that apparently Samurai Gun 2 is going to have a story mode.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool because I liked Samurai Gun 1. And yeah, it looks like more of the same plus.
It's got that thing I love about Bushido Blade.
What's that?
Where it's just that you could just fucking die right then and there if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. It's funny because both Towerfall and Samurai Gun are they come from the same small, tight arena.
I love shit like that, though.
Yeah. We got Bullet Age, which is a kind of 2D side-scrolling. It doesn't look like anything super special, but I don't know. Maybe it will be. The World Next Door, which, if I remember, was it seemed like a weird kind of match 3, but you're controlling a character who's walking around on a board, kind of doing the match 3 things. I don't know. This one too. I kind of feel like I get a little like indie gamed out, where I'm like, oh look, it's a charming game with anime style, or like a quirky art style, and you're playing a match 3 game, and it's like.
The best thing about that sort of thing is the fact that like big consoles are now realizing that they can just buy those things for like super cheap and sell them sell them on their consoles, and be like, oh, see, we're working with indie developers,
right?
Like, this is all the shit on Steam no one wants,
right? Let's see. We got Levelhead, which I think is a kind of Super Mario Maker style, kind of make your own 2D platforming kind of game.
Which I'm more surprised there isn't more of.
I'm not. I think that over the last few years that the gaming industry, or that the gamers as a whole, have sent the very clear and present message to the gaming industry: we don't want to make our own fucking levels, bro.
Yeah,
like some people do.
You get some cool shit out of them, though.
Oh yeah. But like the majority of people want to play Mario, not make Mario.
I guess that's somewhat fair. Little Big Planet was very big for a while.
I don't think that's true. I think the Little Big Planet was critically acclaimed. But, like, I played Little Big Planet.
They made 3 of them.
I know. And I would go onto the Little Big Planet store to be like, wow, you can make anything with this. Oh, look, it's 1-1. It's just a whole bunch of people making 1-1 from Super Mario Brothers. Oh, look, they all made 1-1. I mean, for that matter...
There's some fantastic ones, though.
Media Molecule has been making Dreams for how fucking long?
Wait, is Dreams still a thing?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Remember at E3 where all the interstitial stuff was like, they had little bands that were going that also like they were made in Dreams?
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that's ever going to actually come out.
Probably, but whatever. King of the Hat is another indie that's just kind of another like 4-player kind of arena stuff. I feel like these types of games are really, really easy to make.
There's also a lot of them lately.
Yeah.
Like Gut Game. I know there's a few others that are that like Battle Block Theater.
Yeah. There's it. I don't know. This doesn't look very interesting to me.
It just looks like another one of those games.
Like nothing that I would keep on my radar and be like, oh shit, we got to play that new 4-player blah 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 blah.
I guarantee some streamers are going to play the shit out of it, though.
Oh, absolutely, yes. iDarb was good because that was the one where it was connected to Twitch, and the Twitch audience could literally put stuff into your game.
That was pretty cool.
Okay, there is one of these, though, that stands out to me, and that is Untitled Goose Game. Now, I don't know. You didn't actually watch this presentation.
I did not.
But Untitled Goose Game is a sandbox stealth game where you basically play as a goose, and your goal is to sneak around. A horrible goose. Your goal is to sneak around, and you need to like take people's stuff, chase people around, eat their lunch, like squawk at them, put their stuff in a fountain, like.
So just be a goose, like
be
a normal goose.
A total dick goose. Yes.
That's how gooses are, though. Gooses are giant assholes.
I think that this is, out of all the things that we've talked about, I think that this game looks absolutely amazing.
It does look pretty great, actually.
It's got a kind of I like this particular style of kind of low poly, but then like kind of high contrast color, or no, low contrast colors, kind of a pastel
I get what you mean.
looking thing. Yeah. And then there was like a kind of a montage. We saw Desert Child, The Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, Bastion, and Transistor are both coming.
Oh, okay.
The Messenger, which is actually already out, which is like, I need to find a place to put this. It's like Ninja Gaiden, basically. It is Ninja Gaiden, sort of.
Just ninja, or old school Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. Undertale, and
so they finally are doing the Undertale for Nintendo.
Yeah.
I remember he was talking about that for ages.
Oh, had that not been announced yet?
Well, what happened was that like years ago, he said, "Hey, I would love to do this, but I have no fucking idea how to do it. So if someone wants to do this for me, I would love that."
Yeah.
And then we heard nothing about it for ages, because this was back when the Wii U was still the console. At the time.
Okay.
And so we assumed it was going to be on Wii U for a long time. And then we just forgot, apparently. So I didn't even know it was coming out for Nintendo.
Okay. The Sword and Sorcery by the Super Brothers coming out. And then the last thing was that they did, and also Into the Breach is coming out on the Switch, and it's out today. So
that's neat.
Yeah. If you're looking for a place to play Into the Breach, which I highly recommend. Into the Breach is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking great. I love it. So, yeah, there's some stuff in here. I mean, a lot of this is just kind of the Nintendo Switch re-release and stuff. Some of these,
which I'm cool with, depending on it and what it is.
I really want that Goose game. I really want that Goose game.
You really just want to be a dick-ass goose.
I want to be a dick-ass goose. That is true. The goose is loose. I did though also want to say that I really appreciate Nintendo Directs because even though this one didn't have a lot of stuff that I didn't know, I like it. Like, instead of just putting out a bunch of trailers, like the idea of having even just somebody show up and be like, hey, everybody, let's take a look at this game. Like, it just makes me feel better about...
I've always loved that about Nintendo Directs. Iwata had a great idea with these things.
Yeah.
Back when he was doing them. And they used to have, really, these skits and stuff in them that were a lot of fun, too.
Maybe that's what I should do for Rage Select, is it just basically, make Nintendo Directs, but just for, other people's games, where I'm like, let's take a look at the new Hitman trailer, everybody. It promises to be a blast.
You could totally do that too, and I would watch it.
And then I just snap my fingers and use the Switch noise and confuse the fuck out of everybody.
Just to have it be always use the Switch noise on something that isn't Nintendo related.
Oh,
though.
sure, yeah.
And always have it be the wrong audio cue every fucking time.
I'm just gonna stand in front of my green screen and just talk in a really relaxing voice. Hey, everybody, let's watch this new trailer. Well, there was one other announcement from Nintendo, and that was Dragalia Lost, which is, I believe, their third Nintendo or a phone game.
Because it was. I already forgot
Super Mario Run and then Fire Emblem Echoes.
No, but the thing they came out with before that, which wasn't really a game, but it was that weird Me thing. Is it Miitopia? Is what I want to say.
Oh, I don't know.
They
Animal Crossing as well.
Oh yeah,
this is the fourth or fifth one. This is obviously not based on anything Nintendo. It's like a little ARPG where you kind of swipe and you run a little party of characters around, and it's a prince and there's a dragon, and then you've got to you're going to power your characters up by putting them in a place for 13 hours and then coming back and their training is complete. They even showed you can open up packs to get new characters and then different types of loot. Which, of course, because it's a goddamn phone game, it looks just so goddamn generic to me.
Oh, no, it absolutely is. But I don't think Nintendo really gives enough of a shit about their mobile thing to really put that much work into these.
I guess it's interesting to me is that it almost seems like if with a little bit of retooling that this could have been some kind of Zelda tie-in, but I guess Nintendo wants to save their big properties.
Well,
for
with some
big
retooling,
stuff,
it could have been a 3DS game with the touchpad movement the same way.
That's true. I think that if it was a 3DS game, though, that it probably would be a really bad 3DS game.
Have you seen some of the 3DS games that are on
Yes.
there? Yeah, it would have just been like any of those other ones.
Yeah. I don't know. This is not very interesting to me. If you're interested in mobile games, everybody knows that Jeff doesn't truck with a lot of mobile games. It's not like there's anything wrong with it. It's just goddamn, I can't see spending any amount of time actually playing this as a video game.
I literally only played 2 mobile games and they're Dragon Ball related.
Yay!
To the surprise of no one.
Finally, somebody who doesn't like mobile games as much as I don't like mobile games. Anyway, you can check it out. There's a whole 15-minute Nintendo Direct on it, which is I don't know why. It basically is just telling you everything. It's basically explaining what a cell phone game is to you, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's got
I'm gonna tell you about this phone game.
Right? Yeah. Oh, you're gonna charge up and you're doing your special attack.
Finger.
Oh, look, you're gonna do. They don't even have a host for that one.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a voiceover.
Oh, okay.
Last little bit of Nintendo news. Smash Brothers has a release date of December 7th, and it also has a new kind of collector's edition that's going to come with a controller that's got the Smash logo on it and a steelbook case, and you can get all that for $139 or just the controller for $75.
I kept laughing because the first time this popped up on my Facebook feed, 80% of the comments are like, "Are you gonna do a GameCube version?" It's like, stop, guys, fucking stop with the GameCube controller. I get it because I have the same thing. But
can't you already connect that Wii U adapter to it?
That's what the rumor is. I haven't actually heard them say that outright.
I think you can. I think they said that they tested it and you could it already works.
I think so. It's just I can't remember exactly how that worked though. I think it's because it's a USB thing that you put in, and then you put the controllers in. Because I used to have the adapter. I don't have it anymore because no one came to my house.
You got USB ports on the Switch, so or on the
most
dock.
likely we'll work with it. I'm sure I'll just have to buy another one because I still have my GameCube controller.
Speaking of things that you can play on the Nintendo Switch, how about Fortnite?
Yeah, how about that Fortnite?
Fortnite continues to be the most interesting game that I don't want to play. It's basically, with EVE Online, become the sort of thing that I love to read news stories about, but have no interest in actually playing.
That's pretty much how I feel about it, too.
The latest thing, I don't know, do you know about the latest thing in Fortnite?
I do not.
So a giant purple cube has appeared in the world of Fortnite, and it's moving around the map slowly.
Is this like the cube from Reboot? Like if you die in it, you become a tiny little sludge dude?
I don't think so.
That would be pretty great.
It's moved so far in a weird pattern. These are the things that people know is that if you
people have mapped this out, by the way.
Oh yeah. If you shoot at it, it'll zap you. If you hit it, it'll throw you back. If you get near it, you get glyphs around you. If you land on top of it, it bounces you way far up in the air, so high that you die when you hit the ground.
That's pretty amazing.
And nobody knows what the fuck it is or what it's doing. My favorite...
wow.
My favorite hypothesis is that it's actually going to be doing the GameCube... You know, when you turn on a GameCube and it goes, then it's like mapping that out. It doesn't seem to be the case,
it makes some kind. Like, have you seen those memes that people have done with them?
No.
What they do is they take that little thing and they make it the shape of something, and then it starts playing a song.
Oh,
like when it hits. Like one of them is that it starts playing "Africa" by Toto.
Okay.
It makes the shape of Africa, and then when it lands, it starts playing the song.
Okay.
So maybe it's that. Who knows?
Maybe so. Nobody really knows, but we will be finding out something because even though the podcast has been being recorded before this happened, apparently they're doing a stream and there's a new kind of promo for a thing called High Stakes. So, but this is like a weird guy in a suit with a mask and a bunch of like playing card stuff. And yeah, but it doesn't. I don't really know if this is going to be like a casino or like...
Maybe it's like a heist thing.
A heist? Yeah, it does kind of look like a heist thing. There's like the guy's holding a briefcase with handcuffs on it. So I'm like, but what does that have to do? Does the big purple cube explode and now it's a casino that you have to rob with your friends?
Well, maybe it's the origin of the Royal Flush Gang.
Maybe. There's also, let's see, this is the tweet from Fortnite. Suit Up, the high stakes event begins next week. With it comes the new Getaway, which is limited game mode, wildcard outfit, and high stakes challenges.
Okay, I'm super interested in whatever's happening here.
Me too.
Fortnite, I am so proud of you, Fortnite, from starting off as the most generic zombie thing ever.
Yep.
To like one of the most interesting things that's happened to gaming in quite some time.
Yep. And let us all just remember, Fortnite making PUBG look like shit from like day 4.
Pretty much. The second, like I remember when Fortnite first started doing this, everybody was just constantly just like, man, it's just some sort of ripoff of PUBG. No one fucking talks about PUBG anymore.
No.
No one.
Did you see? When I was watching the trailers for this week, there's an ad that you'll see on YouTube for a liquid-cooled phone so that you can play Fortnite at higher resolutions on your phone.
That's amazing.
I'm like, damn, son. Because I tell you what, we've been trying to get games on the phone forever, and then it's like, oh, here's the most popular game. Like, it's kind of amazing that PUBG started this thing. Nobody gave a shit. Or, no, a lot of people did give a shit. A lot of people gave a shit. And then, like, Fortnite was like, hold my beer. Or, like, Epic Games was like, hold my beer. Hey, you know what? Our dumb zombie game could do that same thing, and we're a real-life grown-up developer who doesn't spend time like suing people over frying pans.
Yeah.
And so instead, we're going to make like giant cubes. And hey, you could be Thanos. And hey, here's a shopping cart. And hey, here's a golf cart. Here's an instant build. Here's a bunch of skins. Buy a season pass. And it's just like, did you know this? I reported on this with Amanda a while back that Epic dropped the price. Okay, so it used to be that if you put something for the Unreal Engine on Epic Store and somebody else bought it to use in their game, that like Epic took like 8% or something like that, right? And they lowered that to 5%. And when they asked why they lowered that, they're like, "We are making so much money off of Fortnite. We do not need any of this money. So we're just gonna let the developers keep an extra 3% of what they've got because there's just too much goddamn money in this place right now."
I have no idea how they took a free-to-play game and have made so much money off of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yep.
No one expected this. I remember when they first announced it was free to play, I'm like, well, that means Fortnite is dumb and it's dead and you'll never hear about it again. No, I was so fucking wrong.
Yep. It's interesting because I feel like it's a combination of Epic being so good, Epic being a very... Like, they're like Steam, except they make games, right?
Yeah.
Like being a very qualified developer, and then the PUBG Corporation being so shitty and
so
doing the one
at
thing.
What they did. Like, I remember when they announced, like, no, you can climb over walls. Everyone was like, PUBG is the best. And then Fortnite was like, now you can do literally whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And we're just like, well, I want to be there.
Hey, guess what, PUBG? We have a jump button in our game.
He's like, yeah, we have a jump button. You can make it one giant Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yep.
With how fucking batshit insane that what we've done to this world.
Yep.
Like, free to play used to be the kiss of death. But Fortnite, my God, they figured that shit out somehow.
They definitely have. Moving on from there, from a game that everybody loves that I don't play to a game that I love and nobody plays. Let's talk about Hitman a little bit. So Hitman came out with a very strange trailer this week, and this is the Welcome to the Jungle teaser trailer. And we were discussing this before we started. How do you make a teaser called Welcome to the Jungle? And the song Welcome to the Jungle is nowhere. I mean, like, I kept expecting. It's a very slow trailer that's just showcasing this jungle level in the new in Hitman 2. And I kept expecting at a certain point to break into the action montage, right? And then like, welcome to the jungle, what you about to, you know, like,
I kept like you literally told me it would not happen.
Yes.
And I kept waiting for it to happen anyways.
Yep. I will say, though, that this looks like an excellent level. I don't know. Did you play the original Hitman?
Once, but this was years ago.
There was a jungle level in the original Hitman where you like snuck around kind of outside of a base in the jungle, and it was either very shortly after or pre-Snake Eater. I think it might have been pre-Snake.
It's pre-Snake Eater.
And it was like, I've always loved the idea of having free reign to kind of go around in the jungle and, you know, strike from the shadows. So I'm really excited about this particular level.
Depending on how it plays out, yeah, it could be really, really fun.
So far, Hitman hasn't done me wrong on any of the levels. So, I mean, Paris is maybe my least favorite, but I don't know, even Paris is fine. So, yeah, this looks good. However, there was another trailer that came out, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It didn't actually come up through my thing, but a couple weeks back, they announced for Hitman 2 a kind of an interesting thing. So, okay. Everybody knows that Hitman 1 was an episodic game, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, IO Interactive thought that they were going to continue to do episodes. And I feel like they changed the story of the 6th episode, which suddenly kind of pivots into a weird direction, because they thought they were going to get a season 2. They thought that the sales were going to be good enough for them to do a season 2, so they wanted to continue the story into season 2 instead of just wrapping it up at the end of the 6th episode. I could be totally off base. That's how it feels to me, because it's like hunting this guy, hunting this guy, hunting this guy, hunting this guy. And then episode 6 is like, just kidding, that guy was the real problem.
That actually does make a lot of sense.
So, all right. So Hitman Season 2 is obviously going to be picking up that story where Hitman 1 left off.
Yeah.
Which brings up a really interesting question. Let's say that you didn't play Hitman 2016, but you do want to play Hitman 2. How, like, the Hitman 2 story is probably going to pick up after the Hitman 1 story. Anyway, belaboring the point again. This whole thing is saying that if you own Hitman 1, Hitman 1 will be integrated into Hitman 2.
Oh.
That you'll basically be able to play all the episodes of Hitman 1, and not only will you be able to play them, but there's going to be a bunch of things. So in this trailer, you see this briefcase.
Yeah.
That's from Hitman 2. Hitman 2 is reintroducing the briefcase and the ability to bring stuff with your briefcase.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be put back into all of the levels from Hitman 1, in addition to gadgets and they've got like stun darts and things like that, and like AI advancements in the way that the guards work and the way that people will see you. They're going to integrate that sniper game that you can get for pre-ordering Hitman 2.
Okay.
And all that's going to basically go into Hitman 2's, along with graphical upgrades and new kind of mission stuff. So like what we saw right here, there was a stun grenade, but here we saw somebody that was suspicious. We saw Hitman basically blending into a crowd to get unsuspicious. Or it looks like in Hitman 2 they're going to have these ideas, these little like picture-in-picture things that come up on your screen, where like if a body is found somewhere, then it brings up a thing that shows you. It doesn't just tell you the body's been found. It shows you who found it and then like what's going on. And all that stuff is going to be in Hitman 2.
Yeah.
And if you owned Hitman 1, then all that stuff comes with you into Hitman 2 as one big place to have all of that stuff.
That's kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah. The only thing that's a little bit irritating is, one, there has been no word yet on, if you don't already own Hitman 1, how much does that cost? Because I'm sure that if you just buy Hitman 2, you're not going to get all the Hitman 1 content for free.
Yeah.
And then 2, like, what if you only bought 2 episodes of Hitman 1? Do only those 2 episodes of Hitman 1 of Hitman 2016 go into Hitman 2? Do you get the rest of it for free? So I saw a few folks grousing about the idea that, if you really liked Hitman 2016, that like this is a weird perspective to have, but like with all of these different gameplay items being reintegrated into Hitman 2016, if you're only interested in Hitman 2016, then it's like, oh, well, there is a better version of that game, but you have to buy the sequel in order to get any kind of access to it, in spite of the fact that IO has sold Hitman 2016 as episodes, has sold them as a collected edition, has sold them as a Game of the Year edition, and has sold them as a further like gold edition or something like that.
Yeah.
They've sold multiple editions of this game, so I can understand a little bit of that. Personally, I fucking love Hitman, and the idea of having all this stuff under one banner in one place where I can play all of it I'm cool with that.
I do like the idea, though. It's actually a great idea. Just how it's executed, that all depends.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because they've been making continual upgrades to the engine and all the stuff ever since the first games came out. So
yeah.
All right. Guess who's back? From there, we're going over to Capcom. Capcom is releasing Onimusha Warlords on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC?
Switch as
Switch?
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of a remaster version of the first Onimusha game, which is good. I'm glad to see Capcom acknowledging that Onimusha exists.
Me and you have had this conversation a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck has Onimusha been?
Yep.
And like for ages we've had this conversation, and it was the first I got giddy at the fact that they announced that they were going to come out with anything Onimusha related.
I kind of wish that it's obvious that they've done some work here, but not a shitload. I kind of wish that this would have been more of like that RE2 remake, but maybe this is the way that they gauge interest, and then Onimusha 2, they bring it out with,
maybe it's a way of gauging interest in making another one as well.
It's possible,
That's kind of what happened, I think, with Devil May Cry, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to look at this trailer. There are some details. Apparently, let's see. Easy mode unlocked from the start, and the soundtrack has been remastered. So, as well as all the graphics are upgraded. If you've never played Onimusha, it's basically just kind of like feudal Japan, Demon, Resident Evil.
It's pretty fucking rad.
It kind of reminds me of...
The third one had John Reno.
Yeah.
Or John Reno, sorry.
Well, all the protagonists, like the first protagonist was based on a model, and so was I think the second one had a person in it that was based on like a real person, which at the time was really crazy because it was like, we didn't really get them in the U.S., but like the main character of Onimusha was like a famous fashion model in Japan, I believe. So seeing that person's face, it would almost be like, if you were loaded up the new Resident Evil game and the new character just looked like Robert Downey Jr. or something like that.
Well, we're starting to get shit like that nowadays, though.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that's good. Great. I'm so glad to see Capcom. It's like Capcom went into hibernation for a while, and then when they came out, they were a beautiful butterfly.
No, what happened was that they ran out of money, and they were like, what can we re-release right now?
Well, it's funny because they were doing a bunch of re-release garbage. You remember they put out 4, 5, and 6 Resident Evil again, and then Jesus, guys, but I don't know. I've liked what they've been up to recently. So,
well, luckily they've been smarter with their re-release ideas.
Yeah.
Before they were just re-releasing whatever the fuck they wanted to.
Yeah. All right, we are now officially over time. So we're gonna cut a few stories. Battlefield 5 got delayed. Not much to say about that. Let's look at some trailers. Streets of Rage 4. There's going to be a Streets of Rage 4.
Which is pretty cool, actually.
And it looks really great. It looks incredible.
I'm a big fan of beat-em-ups, and I'm always glad when another beat-em-up gets made.
So this is the same team behind the Wonder Boy Dragon's Trap remake that we played a while back. But yeah, we've got a little animated intro, and then it actually shows a little bit of the game footage, and it just looks really great. It looks like old Streets of Rage, but with all this kind of like hand-drawn animation.
It looks fantastic, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it looks absolutely incredible. Count me in. I'll play it whenever the fuck it comes out.
It makes me that much more mad at the Double Dragon 4 we got not that long ago.
Oh, yeah?
That game is just not that great.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Because we went from Double Dragon Neon to that.
Yeah.
And it just felt like such a huge step down.
You never can tell. I don't think I ever had any real strong feelings about Double Dragon in the first place.
Well, it's I just like beat 'em ups in general, and if a beat 'em up plays badly, then I hate that at that point.
I can see that. All right. Let's see. Metal Wolf Chaos. There's a new minute-long trailer that doesn't show that much more. It's still pretty amazing.
It just shows the amazingness of this crazy what Japan thought of America at this point.
Yeah.
You're the president, and the vice president is taking over, and you have to kick his ass
in a mech suit. In a mech suit.
It's fucking amazing.
Giant ass mech suit.
This entire game was recorded in English in Japan and was never fucking released in America. That blows my mind still.
It's still an odd world that we live in, where you say an Xbox game that was made by the creators of Dark Souls and never released in the United States about the president and the vice president fighting in mech suits is going to be released next year by Devolver Digital.
It's the greatest thing ever.
It's kind of just like Mad Libs. It's like a video game news Mad Libs.
It's totally Mad Libs. And I've been waiting for this game for ages.
Yeah.
I've wanted this game for so long.
It looks pretty cool. I can't wait to play it. Can't wait to play it. There's going to be a new Lucius game, Lucius 3. For those of you who don't remember, Lucius is the game where you basically play as Damien and then try to kill people. Lucius 1 was kind of a weird half cult classic where people were like, I don't know, it's not a very good game, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Lucius 2 I played and it kind of was like garbage.
It was pretty not good looking.
This trailer makes Lucius 3 kind of look even worse than Lucius 2.
It's very janky. The entire trailer is janky as hell.
All the characters kind of look like they've just been smeared in feces and the frame rate's off, and you can kind of see where they're using editing to make something that's probably going to be terrible look a little bit better. They're probably showing you the 8 best things in this game. Yeah. It's
a great idea that I really want somebody else to work on.
Me too. 100% me too. I don't know. But you can be assured that when this comes out, I'm definitely going to be playing it because Lucius, man. I played both the other ones.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Finish the trilogy.
Party Hard 2 got announced at PAX. There was a few announcements at PAX. We're just going to talk about this one. Party Hard was the game where you... Oh, I didn't actually realize there's a little Harley Quinn in there. Was the game where it's like your neighbors are being loud, so you go and murder everybody at the discotheque. We played the first one of those on Sunday stream. I didn't really care for it all that much, but I don't know.
I've seen a lot of great gameplay videos of the first one.
Yeah?
Where people were just super creative of how they killed people.
Okay. I don't know. I guess Hitman maybe more my speed for that. But.
Well, you're just I get what you mean on that though. But for an indie kind of idea, I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. And so let's go over a few quick things here at the end. We got a release date for Travis Strikes Again.
I want to be excited for this. I really do. But
Yeah.
every time I see more gameplay of it, I'm like, come on, guys.
Oh, no. Yeah, so this is going to be coming out January 18th of 2019. There was a 15-minute gameplay trailer that I cut here for time. It didn't look very good. You know what? It reminded me of old Suda 51, where like the dialogue and the visual style and the music and everything but the actual game seemed like it was pretty cool and weird and edgy. But the game itself looked like kind of garbage.
I adore No More Heroes. I've beaten part 1 and 2 multiple fucking times.
Yeah.
And I love that series so goddamn much, and I've been waiting for more of it forever. And then when they announced this, I was so excited, and then they showed gameplay of it, and I was just like so fucking disappointed.
Well, maybe that's just like one game, right? Like they're supposed to have like 8 different games or something in this like the weird death system that they're playing.
Well, because one of the things about this one that they said is it's not technically part 3. It's a spin-off basically that's supposed to take place after 2 but before 3, I guess. But that's the thing. That's why I'm not too mad about it.
Yeah.
But what worries me is that they're going to base the idea of making 3 off of whether or not this does well. And that's what scares me, is if they're going to do that or not.
Let me just say that as near as I can tell, no Suda 51 game has ever been what people would call a hit. And yet that motherfucker keeps getting to make games.
Yeah.
So
true.
I don't know if he's like independently wealthy and just spends his own money making games or what, but I have a feeling that if Suda 51 wants to make No More Heroes 3, that somebody's going to back a dump truck up to his house full of money.
They should, because I love just doing wrestling moves on people and murdering the hell out of it. Seriously, if you've never played No More Heroes 1 or 2, I highly recommend No More Heroes 1 and 2.
Okay. The studio that makes Yakuza is going to be announcing something new in September that is not a Yakuza game. For anybody who doesn't actually know this, the last time that the Yakuza studio made a non-Yakuza game, that would be the Binary Domain was the last one, which is a really underrated game that I think is incredible.
Fantastic. And they're making the Fist of the North Star?
I think that might be a different team.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. Or no, maybe it's because yes they are. Sorry, this is new IP, so just like not an adaptation.
No,
not
I mean
a
like
remake.
in general. I haven't seen them make anything that wasn't Yakuza in quite a while either way.
Right. Yeah, Binary Domain was the last one, and then the Fist of the North Star. So September 19th, we'll be looking up for a new for whatever's new there. And then
it's
a
not
couple more
called
things.
Yakuza. It's Italian people, the game or whatever.
I would play the shit out of Italian Yakuza. If it was Mafia,
I would, yeah.
Oh, man. If
I won't lie,
Yakuza
I would.
team made a Mafia game, oh, dude. All right, couple things for funsies.
Or it's called Vatos. I'd play the shit out of that too.
Not going anywhere near that one. So we finally got some news on the last Shovel Knight DLC, and it's going to turn out to be a 4-player like kind of competitive battle game. Looks really interesting. Very much kind of in the Shovel Knight way. It looks like you can choose between all the different bosses in the game, and then basically you're kind of looking to collect like a certain number of gems or kill people a certain number of times. So that's kind of interesting.
It could be fun.
Yeah. Oh, this is that commercial for the liquid-cooled Samsung phone that plays.
Yeah, there it is.
That plays Fortnite. Anyway, that is amazing. If you haven't played Shovel Knight, do yourself a favor and play Shovel Knight. Play any of them.
Also, depending on what console you have, depends on the secret boss.
What do you mean?
Because there were specific bosses in certain versions of Shovel Knight, depending on the console. Like Kratos was the one for PlayStation.
Oh, right.
I think the Battletoads was the one for the game, the
Xbox.
I don't remember if Nintendo had one or not. I'm not gonna lie. I remember those two specifically.
I think on the PC it was the dive kick guy.
Yeah, I don't remember if Nintendo had one or not, but yeah.
And last but not least, before we take a break, there's going to be a God of War audio book, and it's going to be read by the guy that voiced Mimir in the game, which is great.
Cool.
Because in the game, for anybody who hasn't played God of War, Mimir was this head that you took along with you, and when you went through to the boats, he would tell you stories. And so having him do the voice of the audio book is
it's pretty rad. Actually.
That's pretty cool. Play God of War. If you haven't played it, find a way. Beg, borrow, or steal. It's such a great game. I love it. Love it so much.
Boy.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer some emails. So stick around, and we'll see you in a minute. And aside for questions, mail at rageslight.com. Oh, wait, hold on. Before, mail at rageslight.com is the email address, but before, I beat a game last week. So how about a little impromptu review? I find I over the course of last week finished off Guacamelee 2.
Oh, okay.
Which, if you've never played Guacamelee, it's from Drinkbox Studios. It's a Metroidvania-style game where you play as a luchador wrestler.
That's awesome.
And you've got to kind of fight to protect. Well, in this one, it's kind of a Crisis on Infinite Earths. You have to protect the Mexiverse from a lot of different things.
I love everything about it.
Yep. So here's the thing. It's not. It was fine. It was fine. It just, you know how like between, say, like Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2. Like Assassin's Creed 1 was like, okay, there's some good stuff in here, but we're really going to just redefine everything in Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
Or Mass Effect, right? Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2. These are maybe not the best comparisons, but the thing is that it didn't add a hell of a lot to the original formula of Guacamelee. Like Guacamelee kind of got up in your face and was like, check this shit out. And you're like, whoa, you know, this is a great system.
Yeah.
All these interesting enemies, interesting designs, flipping back and forth between the levels. This is mostly just more of that. Like the only real difference between like the combat focus in Guacamelee 1 and Guacamelee 2 is that in Guacamelee 2, in your chicken form, because you can turn into a chicken in Guacamelee 1 and Guacamelee 2 you turn into a chicken form, is that your chicken form gets a bunch of attacks that you can actually do. And there's a lot more kind of like air stuff, like the chicken can glide. The story is pretty good, but I feel like they really missed a golden opportunity. So like in the very beginning of Guacamelee 2, you on your way to the Mexiverse, you basically have to walk through like the Bad Dudes universe, where it's like all stuff from Bad Dudes, right? And the guy that's with you is like, don't stop here, this is not where we're going. There's also a little section where it's like you're going from one universe to another, and there's a guy and he's got a car there, and it's very much in the Street Fighter thing. You have to basically beat up the car, right? So there are these little tidbits. I won't go into some of them because they're really good. There's some little tidbits in there where you go into other universes, which are kind of like an homage of different things. And I right up to the end of the game, I was expecting them to essentially use this to the effect of like, all right, now that we've blown up the main game, right, that there was even a plot thing at the very end of the game where I'm like, oh shit, now we're going to go into a bunch of weird video game universe homages and do this stuff, but it never really happened. And I don't know if I just missed something. I mean, there were a few of them, but I felt like setting up the Mexiverse, right, and all these different homages to games, that it was the perfect opportunity to basically take this, because like I said, they really didn't do a lot of changing with like the base combat mechanics. Like I think even the animations for the main character are the same as they were in Guacamelee 1. And you can play and I think in the first one you play 2-player co-op, and you can play up to 4-person co-op, which I can't imagine why you would want to, because there's like so much, you know, switching between different places, and there's like really dire platforming that you have to do. I can't imagine why you would want to do that.
Yeah.
But it seemed to me like a very big missed opportunity, especially because it's been so long since Guacamelee 1 and they made their game Severed. That was it was on the PSP or Vita. It was like a touchscreen game, and then it was also on the Wii U. That I felt like they really had time to like maybe kind of put something a little bit different together. I mean, it's still charming as fuck. It's just it has less of an effect. Like, I guess it's that thing that we all have where it's like the first time that you see something radically different, you're just like, whoa, cool. Like, wow.
So it's like basically the way you describe Deadpool 1 and 2.
Yes, yeah, where it's like Deadpool 2, there's nothing wrong with Deadpool 2. I watched
absolutely. I love that. I love Deadpool 2.
Nothing wrong.
I saw the extended cut, and it's only no, it's not any better, honestly.
Yeah,
there's
it's
some
just
good moments in it, I guess.
It's just that when I watched Deadpool 1, it's like, holy shit, I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
You know, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 to me was kind of like that. Where it's like
actually, I could see that too, yeah.
Volume 1, it's like, oh, here's all these interesting new characters. Look at all these crazy visuals. Look at this awesome soundtrack. And then you get to the second one, and it's just like, more of that. And it's like, well, more is good, but you need to have something a little bit different to really kind of like, wow, and it doesn't have to be that way with every game. Like there are some games where it's perfectly fine to just have your sequel be like I was thinking recently about how like God of War 2 was kind of like God of War 1, except that they just like amped everything up and it was like way better. Sometimes you can get away with that. It's just they didn't amp everything up as much as I would have wanted them to.
Okay, I can see. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, not a bad game. Definitely not a bad game. If you're a fan of Guacamelee in that style, like it's fine. It's got a lot of really good like kind of challenges of switching between the different worlds and there's a whole thing with the chickens that's really funny and it's just that the characters are not quite as good as the first one, and that wow factor of just like what, like I kept expecting there to be like a third universe that I could switch to, because it's like you switch between the land of the living and the land of the dead, and I was like, oh, with the Mexiverse I'm gonna get the power to switch into like a universe that has like a totally different art style from Guacamelee, and just be like, what, and then everything's recontextualized and you're like, what, but that just never really seemed to happen for me. And I don't know if I missed something. I mean, I'm usually pretty like, I didn't do all the challenge stuff like I did in the first one. Because by the time I got to the end of the game, I was kind of just like, they really did amp up the puzzle difficulty, and I was a little tired.
I couldn't see it being that drastic of missing something, honestly.
I don't think. I mean, if I did, then as much as I would, much I don't like to do this, I would have to put the fault on that on the game. That like, if I was able to so easily miss something that was really groundbreaking like that.
Yeah, that's why I doubt it, to be honest. Like,
however, there is one thing that I must address.
What's that?
Okay. In the game, there's very beginning of the game, there is a character called El Muñeco, and he has 3 chickens. And the chickens' names are Loretta, Gertrude, and then Donna. Now, Donna's nothing, but like Loretta is our Saints Row 4 character, and Gertrude is our Grand Theft Auto Online character. And I was like, now Guacamelee 2! And I was like, okay. But, and I don't know what this is. So I was like, okay, maybe this is just a coincidence, right? Somebody's come up with these. Maybe somebody watched Rage Select a long time ago, and then they had some crypto memory or something. And they were like, Gertrude, that's a funny name, huh? Or maybe Loretta and Gertrude are both funny names, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I was running through a town, and there was a poster on a wall for Loco Bruce Liquors. And I was like...
Wait a second, what?
Now... Bruce is the name of Batman, and Loco and Liquors. So, and I can't think of anything else that would refer to. Like, I can't think of another like Loco Bruce out there, or like Crazy Bruce or something that would. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a person who works at Drinkbox Studios who's a fan of Rage Select.
So what you're saying is we need to name a character Donna later.
Yes. Yes. I have to come up with a really good, place to name a character Donna. Anyway, so it's good. It's fine. I mean, I would get into more of it, but it's very much like Guacamelee 1, except that it's a little bit more... it's about the same amount of time. It's about 10 to 12 hours, depending on how good you are at the puzzles and stuff. But the gameplay, I'm just a little bit disappointed that, like, all the special moves are just the same as they were in the first one. Because in the first one, you have the circle button basically does like a certain type of special attack. So you have like an uppercut that goes up, you have a headbutt, you have a dashing punch, and then a down slam. And those are all back, and they all do the same kind of unlock where they're bricks in the world that you have to unlock by breaking them. So good, not great. A
decent sequel is what you're saying.
Nothing to write home about. Basically, it's more Guacamelee. So if you're just like, more Guacamelee, it's kind of like the BioShock 2 of
that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Anyway. All right. mail@ragesite.com is the email address. And our first question this week comes in from Kate Josie. We're actually going to do this, and then we've got a bunch of like rapid-fire questions from last week when I asked for questions, and we spent the entire time talking about Gamescom.
Okay.
Kate writes in and says, Dear Rage Select, I just watched the Mr. Plinkett review for The Last Jedi. I don't know what to say.
Well.
I still like the movie. I really like the movie. But I can't help but see his point. I've said for a good while that Star Wars is fun, but it's not that good as compared to its love in our society. If you've seen this new Mr. Plinkett essay, please tell me what your thoughts are. I still like it despite what was laid out, but understanding the feelings of this essay more than the raving, scathing hatred by other parts of the internet. Please tell me your thoughts. This is also I'm trans, and you guys are fine with that gender assumption joke. You're smart, and you guys always find in my book. And that's from your loyal patron, Kate Chosey. Thank you, Kate. Last week we talked about the Cyberpunk Twitter thing where they said, "Did you just assume the developer's gender?" Man, I talked about how apparently that's used as a meme to just insult people on the internet.
Oh yeah, that's clear. That's been a meme for a long time.
Sorry, I didn't know that. I'm not savvy, etc., etc. You know what, Kate? I thought a lot about that. Somebody last week was really mad that we even talked about it for as long as we did. But like, I mean, to be honest, it's not that funny of a thing. It's not like if you told me that like farts are now like off limits to make jokes about, I'd be like, you can go to hell. I'll make fart jokes all day. And it's like, well, but it's insensitive to people who suffer from IBS. And I'm like, well, those people need to learn how to laugh at farts because farts are funny, and I'm never going to stop talking about farts. Did you just assume a gender? It wasn't really a very funny thing to make a joke about in the first place. So I don't really mind saying, you know what, if it makes you upset, then I just rather not do it, and I'll make some other joke about, you know.
That's an okay joke, just not really all that funny.
I'll make a dude looks like a lady joke from Aerosmith. That's, you know. Anyway, so you saw the Mr. Plinkett
I did, actually.
review.
Yeah, I saw it a couple days ago.
I don't know if you and I ever talked about that. What before we go into this, your general thoughts about Last Jedi?
I like The Last Jedi a lot.
Okay.
But you say what you're saying for, I guess.
Oh, well, here's the thing. I watched it. It was fine. The thing is that nothing, you know, when the Plinkett prequel reviews came out,
which are long as hell,
which are very long, yeah, I felt like he was saying things that putting together an argument about why the prequels are bad, that in a very cogent way that like very much follows and it's easy to understand, right?
Yeah.
For The Last Jedi, it's not that he didn't do that. It's just that I was talking with somebody about this. I think it was Amanda, where it was like, I know all the reasons that people think The Last Jedi is bad.
Yeah.
I just don't care about those things, where they're like, well, why wouldn't Holdo tell Poe her plan? And I'm like, well, I think that was pretty obvious in the context of the movie, and it doesn't bother me that she didn't. Like,
well, the thing is, it bothers me, but it doesn't bother me enough to go, well, this movie sucks.
Right.
Like, everything he says in the video, except for, like, I think, like, one or two things, I can't really, like, so much argue against, so much as, like, well, I get what you mean by that, but it just didn't bother me as much as it bothered you.
Right.
Like, that's what it is. Like, there's one thing that did bother me that they say that was like, well, that's super easily explained, which is the part where they, it's like the beginning thing that he says, where he's like, why are they leaving, you know, the place? Like, why do they even know they're there? I'm like, because that's what they say at the end of the last film. That's the whole reason they need to destroy that place, because they know where they are.
Right.
Like, that's the whole reason for that. Like, that's why they know that. It's like, it's the equivalent of, because what it is, it's like, I'm going to explain this. I don't know even why I am. The explanation for why they know where they are. It's the same reason
why the First Order knows where the rebels
are. It's because they knew they were there, and they were going to use the laser on them at the end of the first movie,
right?
Or the first movie, you know what I mean? And hell, it's the same. Yeah. It's the same thing with New Hope. It's basically what The Last Jedi does is it starts right after that part happens. It's the equivalent of if Empire Strikes Back had started right after the destruction of the first Death Star. They all know they're on Yavin 4. So they would have gone to Yavin 4 right away.
Right.
It's the same goddamn thing.
Right.
And so that's the only thing that bothers me about the Plinkett review.
There are two things that I would say, if I was actually going to be critical of the review, there were two things. One was I felt like they were making a point about like how some of the humor stuff didn't work, and then using deleted scenes as examples of why it didn't work. Where I was like, but all that's deleted. Like that none of that was actually in the movie itself. Like I hadn't even seen those. So it's like, look how stupid the scene is. And it's like, yeah, it probably got cut out of the movie because it was stupid. So, and then the second thing that I take a little bit of exception to is that the Red Letter Media in general and the Plinkett reviews as well really fucking love Star Trek. And I love Star Trek. But it's like, why didn't they all sit around and discuss this? And it's like, well, because Star Trek tends to be an exploration show, and Star Wars tends to be like a sci-fi military show.
Yeah,
like
it's about war,
right? Like, you know, so when the Romulans are behind you shooting at your ship, they don't all go into the conference room to then discuss the options of what we should be doing.
Yeah,
like a lot of times when they're in the middle of a big thing. So in any case, directly comparing, and you know what? Another thing that I will say is that, and it's something that I think that I've probably gotten tired of with the internet, is the idea of, well, why didn't they just do this? And it's like, well, because then the movie would have been over.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, and I understand people are going to say that, like, well, if your characters have to make stupid decisions in order for the movie to go forward, then it's a bad movie. And I was like, but I don't think that, I think that when I watched The Last Jedi, and this is maybe the thing that's different between me and other people, is that when I watched The Last Jedi, I watched The Last Jedi. There are very few times in my life where I will try to outthink a movie while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I think one of the only exceptions to that is if a movie's either just downright bad, or if it's if it starts to bust under the weight of its own internal consistency, like Prometheus, where I'm like, wait a minute, why are you taking your helmet off? You don't take your helmet off.
Yeah,
and
there's
it's
a lot of just dumb decisions that are against the character type, to the point where it's like, you're the cartographer,
right,
and you got lost here,
right.
Like, you're scientists and you decided to take your helmet off. Like, those are bad decisions that don't make sense for the character.
Yeah.
Whereas with Last Jedi, it's like, yeah, I can get why you would make that decision for the most part. I think Holo's still the only one where I'm like, I don't really understand that, but I can get some context to
what do you mean?
Maybe understand the plan thing, where she doesn't tell him the plan. Like, I can kind of get it, though. Like, that's the thing, is it's not enough to make me go, well, that makes no sense entirely. It's like, well, I can kind of see why you didn't tell him, but it would have been better if you did tell them.
I think people get real hung up on that particular point, and I'm like, he just showed that if you give him an order to do a thing, he won't do it. Like, he won't listen to your superiors, and he literally got demoted because of it. Like, that's not nothing. That's a big fucking thing.
No, but the
leader of the goddamn rebels was like, you can't be trusted.
Well, one of the reasons it bothers me is that she doesn't tell literally anyone, because it makes sense for her not to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that the other people...
No, she did tell other people.
No,
they were gassing up the transports, right?
But that's the thing, is that she didn't tell the other people that were willing to help Poe do full-on mutiny.
Right.
Because that's the thing, is there's no reason for her not to trust those people. So it's like, you could have at least told some of the other people, because then those people would have calmed Poe the fuck down.
Or
they would have been like, look, she's got a plan. It's great.
Or
just don't worry about it.
Or they could have been loyal to Poe and told him, and then he would have mutinied anyway, because he basically decided that, like, if I don't agree with you, I can do whatever the fuck I want to.
The second Leia tells him the plan, he's like, oh wait, yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's obvious that he would have been cool with it.
No, because they stun him and he wakes up on the transports.
Yeah, but they tell him the plan after that.
Yeah, after he was on the transports. When he was in the middle of... Okay, look.
He would have totally accepted this.
Look.
You're on the run. All he wants is assurance that everything is fine.
Here, let me put it in a way that I think it's very easy for everybody to understand, right? I read a lot of science fiction books, and most of them are about fucking space militaries and whatever. And the idea that if your commander won't tell you a thing, that you are to mutiny, to me is insane. You're part of a space military. Your job is to do what you're told. Like, yeah, okay, we're having a fun space adventure.
These guys are literally like people that you got together because they're known for being rebellious, and you don't expect them to do that. That's my issue with that. Is that the whole point of these people are they're rebels, and you don't expect them to rebel at any point?
Well, no, but yeah. Well, what? See, but by that token, it's like what? Every time anybody makes a decision that you don't like, everybody's like, now hold on a second, I want to be leader now.
But that's the thing, is that you need to at least give them the option to make that decision.
Hell, that's not how the military works.
But that's not how rebels work.
No, but okay, listen, they are called rebels. They are rebelling. They are a military organization. They have pilots.
They're also like
and
only
guards.
Like a handful of them that are like half of them are dying.
Right.
This dude is freaking out at this point. Give him assurance. You don't even give him that.
No, because he needs to fucking do what he's told, because he's not he's not in charge.
They never once just go, look, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it. I definitely have a plan. She never even says she has a plan. She just keeps going, don't worry about it. Like, if she at one point just at least said, hey, I have a plan.
Right.
You don't need to worry about it. Everything's fine.
Look, I've watched 100.
Everyone else is cool with it.
I've watched 100 internet commenters saying exactly what you're saying. It's insane to me.
But that's the thing, is it?
He is a soldier. He's not supposed to mutiny if he feels like, oh, okay, you know what? To all the commenters on the internet,
no.
Poe Dameron, by this thing, is a fucking special snowflake who needs to be assured that everything's got a plan and that we know what we're doing.
But you know that dude is a crazy person, so just tell him at one point to calm the fuck down.
But see, that the thing is that's not, look, to me, I think Poe Dameron should have been fucking executed. Like, I think Poe Dameron, I think that Leia should have come in with an actual blaster and shot him in the face and been like, we cannot afford to have people that if they feel like they're not secure enough in knowing what's going on, that they're literally going to try to take over the whole rebellion.
Point, the problem is, at any point, he thinks he's going to die, and no one is telling him that everything's going to be okay at this point. They're still in a very highly tense situation.
The difference between don't worry about it and everything's going to be okay is that if she told him everything's going to be okay, like if he doesn't trust
this is a guy who on a whim will do something dumb as shit because he doesn't know what's happening. At least give him an idea as to what's happening, and he'll sit the fuck down.
The reason that he was demoted in the beginning of the movie was because he did exactly what you just said, and it is obvious that fucking Princess Leia, the leader of the rebellion, doesn't want people who just don't listen to orders and just go do whatever the fuck they want to. Like, if you can't trust the guy to do what you say, and if he's just going to mutiny every time he disagrees with what you think, then, like, shoot him in the face and dump him into space.
I'm
like,
just saying,
I'm
on Poe's side on this
He's
one.
a liar fucking ability, and
I'm on Poe's side on this one.
I do not understand this argument whatsoever.
Poe is my bro, and I'm on his side on this one. And I will leave it at that.
Okay. It's a military...
Because we will go on forever if we do not stop at this point.
Well,
I'm saying that right now.
I don't think either one of us are going to change the other person's mind.
We're not.
All I know is that...
I've had this argument plenty of times already.
The idea that it's a military means that, like, Poe needs to shut the fuck up and do his job. He's a pilot. He's not the leader of the rebellion. Like, he needs to shut the fuck up and do his job.
Poe is my bro.
Anyway, back to the whole thing. To be honest, I don't care. Like, really, at this point, the criticism of The Last Jedi has brought me to a point.
I still like The Last Jedi a lot, though.
I've watched it 4 or 5 times. I enjoyed it each time. When it was on Netflix, I'd rather watch Thor Ragnarok. It's an easier watch. It's funnier. It's breezier. It's just like, we're going to do our thing. You know, Last Jedi is longer. It's more ponderous, but I liked what it did. I liked what was going on with it. And the thing is that I was talking to Amanda about this. I don't begrudge anybody their opinion about not liking The Last Jedi, right? Like, as I said, all the stuff that people talk about, I understand where you're coming from. It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So you can say Princess Leia flying through space like Mary Poppins over and over and over again, and I'm just going to be like, it just doesn't bother me, bro.
I don't know why that part's the part everyone always says that bothers them the most.
I mean, it's
because we saw a tiny green man lift a ship out of water at one point. Kind of thing. We saw a guy get thrown into, like, we see people get their arms cut off and then they get replaced with things. We see a lot of dumb shit in Star Wars.
Space wizards with laser swords flying around.
Like,
right?
why is that the thing that bothers you the most? I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of dumb.
You know, the whole like, oh, Luke would never act like that. I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck. But and part of this,
talking rabbit people in this universe, people.
Part of this is, look. Okay, I like
Ewoks.
I like Star Wars. Okay, I like Empire a lot. I don't think The Return of the Jedi is a super great movie. I think
I like Return of the Jedi a lot.
Kind of a rehash of the first one. Kind of was blowing up the Death Star again. Like, I wish
Ewoks.
Fuck the Ewoks. They suck ass.
Yep.
Jason Murphy can make everything he wants to. They're a toy line. They're toys. That's what they are. Like, it would have been better if they were ugly and mean and looked like weird apes instead of like a bunch of teddy bears with spears. If the Empire cannot stand up,
eat the shit out of Han Solo, though.
If the Empire cannot stand up to teddy bears with spears when they have Star Destroyers, then the Empire can die. And like, there's no good reason for that. It's stupid. It's stupid that an organization that would blow up a planet wouldn't just raise the moon of Endor and put down a parking lot with one shield generator right in the middle of it, surrounded by AT-ATs and like giant laser turrets. Anyway, I
think that's my favorite joke out of the Family Guys when like the arrows are just piercing their armor. They're like, "What is this thing for?"
Right. You know, in spite of the fact that the new movies have apparently sparked this whole thing where people are like, the prequels aren't so bad. Yeah, they are. They're bad. They're bad. Like,
especially Attack of the Clones. That movie's the worst.
It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Like, and I don't want Jake Lloyd to, you know, he got bullied and he's got problems now, and I understand that. Everybody's had a fucking go at Jake Lloyd, right? But Hayden Christensen is not. Hayden Christensen is not a bad actor, but he sucks in those movies. Ewan McGregor is the best part of those movies, and it's like by a small margin. Like that.
But
those
isn't
movies.
Hayden Christensen though? Isn't he? Like, what is another movie that you can think of off the top of your head that you remember him actually being good in?
He was in some kind of like, I remember him in a drama about like the news or something that was pretty good.
But did anyone watch that?
I did. I don't remember.
I don't
exactly
even
what
remember
it was.
that.
He was in Jumper. You remember his classic turn in
That was
Jumper?
a really bad movie. Don't even
Jumper?
pretend that Jumper is not a bad movie. Also, that was the joke there was a joke I made from that involving Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
The fact that for some reason Sam Jackson plays a character that finds a group of remarkable people in a lot of different movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just his plot in a lot of different movies.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. What I do know is that Natalie Portman is not a bad actress.
She's not a bad actress, but she is
comes off
bad
like
in those
shit
films.
in that movie. You know, Christopher Lee is hamming it up, or not Christopher
He's
Lee.
actually pretty great in those.
Is he
Yeah, that is
good?
Christopher Lee,
Yeah,
He's actually not bad in those.
he's okay. But
Him and Ewan McGregor are the best things about the prequels.
But to put it all in, to bring the whole point together, I think the prequels still suck ass, right?
I think Revenge of the Sith is okay at best.
Maybe.
It's got some good points. Some good moments.
Yeah, but then it ends with no, and like she died because her heart broke, and I've got the high ground, Anakin. Remember the crappy shit?
That is the best meme, though. The high ground. I will not sit here and disparage. I have the high ground. Is the best fucking meme to come out of prequels.
Wrong. It's the General Grievous and Kenobi. Oh, hello there. That's my
That's a pretty
favorite
good
one,
meme, but high ground
anyway,
I think is one of my favorite memes.
So the prequels suck.
That and we're smarter than this.
Most of the prequels suck. Yeah, why? He says that line and then it just never comes up. He's like, wait, why are we getting trapped? We're better than this.
Prequel memes. Okay, if you ever get a chance, go to the subreddit prequel memes. That shit is amazing.
But I think Return of the Jedi is okay. I think Star Wars is great, but hasn't aged super well. I think Empire is wonderful. I think Episode 7 was okay.
Yeah.
So to be honest,
It's got some fun.
But by the time Episode 7 came out, like, this shit been run into the ground for me. Like, there was some good stuff.
I hated Star Wars at that point.
Gennady Tartakovsky, Clone Wars. Everyone kept telling me to watch the CGI Clone Wars. I thought it was okay.
I got better as time went on.
And that's what people say, but I'm just not willing to. I mean, I watched maybe like a season.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing when somebody says watch Arrow. They're like, you can skip the first season. It's kind of like one of those things.
I'm not going to do that. So by the time that Episode 7 came out, I wasn't just like, yeah, Star Wars, because Star Wars had already punched me in the dick enough times that I was like, kind of turning my hips a little bit and like, I don't know Star Wars. So when Episode 8 comes out, I'm just like, okay, that was different. They didn't blow up a Death Star.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Like 70, what is it, 80% of the Star Wars movies either have in them or are about blowing up a Death Star.
Or something Death Star.
Because it's like 1 is Death Star, 3 is, or no, wait, 4 is Death Star, 6 is Death Star.
The Phantom Menace has something that's kind of Death Star-y.
Episode 3 of The Phantom Menace has the plans to the Death Star. Rogue One is about the Death Star. Episode 7 has a Death Star. It's like all fucking Death Stars up in here.
There's a lot of Death Star shit going on.
Anyway, to be at the end of the day, the simple fact is I don't fucking care. Or, like, all I want out of a movie is to be entertained for a little bit of time. And while I'm watching movies, I generally don't tend to break them down or try to be like, ooh, I'm smarter than you, movie.
There's one thing from The Last Jedi that I not so much agree with, but I get, which is that it feels like it feels like it ends like 3 or 4 times. Like there's a lot of points where if you cut it off at that point, it would have been fine each time. There's quite a few of those.
I do take his point about ending it right after the fight would have been very dramatic. I don't feel like it would have been very dramatic for Rey's storyline, which is probably the most important storyline. They would have had to have some other way to do it. But also you got to wonder if they did that, like maybe if they moved up the battle on the Salt Planet on Hoth 2 or whatever.
Hoth 2.
And then they're doing that battle while they're up in there, and maybe have the Luke confrontation happen on Snoke's ship or something like that. It maybe could have worked out better. I'm not saying that you couldn't have made a better movie. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying it's the greatest movie I've ever seen. I'm just saying
like it a lot still.
Like I'm just fucking exhausted of the people that are like, here's an hour-long essay about why The Last Jedi sucks. And I'm like, well, it wasn't that bad. It sucks. And this is the last thing I'll say before we can move on, is that I realized the other day that like I don't begrudge anybody who thinks that The Last Jedi sucks, right? It's just that I feel like the people that don't like The Last Jedi have a desperate need to tell you that if you say, I don't know, I thought it was okay, that they really want to go into your comment section, or if you're in person and be like, no, it wasn't. Here's 20 reasons. I'm like, no, I already know what you're going to say. I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, they'll stop whatever it is they are doing and then try to explain as to why it's the worst movie ever made.
Right. Like,
and you will just be like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah. Like, I don't care. I
hate Attack of the Clones with a passion.
Yeah.
With a fucking passion. So and even I will not do that to you.
So and I think that when you've seen that happen enough, and especially when it's on the internet, when you're just like, I don't know, I liked it, people are like, no, or you're like, I didn't like it, people are like, no, you're wrong, is that eventually you start to want to come back at them, right? As you start to want to be like, all right, fuck off. Like, just,
yeah,
I understand everything you said. I understand that you don't like the movie. Quit telling me you didn't like it. I don't care whether you liked it. Because it seems like the only thing that could happen about the only end game that I can see with you telling me how much you don't like The Last Jedi over and over and over and over and over again.
How long have we been talking about The Last Jedi?
Approximately 40 minutes.
God damn.
30 minutes. Is that you're desperately trying to get me to not like The Last Jedi. And like, if that's your goal, why would you do that? I don't dislike it. Like, You did this, Kate, by the way. You did this. I'm not arguing that you should like the movie. All I'm saying is that I did like the movie, and it seems like there's a big chunk of the internet that's like, but what about X, Y, and Z? Like, I don't think that The Dark Knight is as good as a movie as most people think it is.
I think it's a great.
I think it's a fine. It's
plot holy as fuck, though.
I think it's okay. I liked it. I think it's a good movie, but people are like, it's the best movie, and I'm like, I don't think that's true. But you know what?
Either.
I'm not going to come at you. Like, I wait for people to ask me to say, well, what is it that you think? Why don't you think that? And usually when they do that really angrily. They're just
I remember.
What the fuck, man?
We were at the Nomad like years ago, and you said it randomly, and some dude from like halfway across the bar,
that guy saying
fucking
like Dark Knight
flew up and flew at you. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? We're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. It was one of the only times in my life where I was at a bar with like Corey and Bo and a few other people back in the Spill days, and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's like the greatest movie. And they were just like, well, hold on a second. I don't think I've ever seen Corey as mad as he was when we were talking about this. But the thing is that I'm not trying to ruin your enjoyment of it. Like, I'm not constantly talking to you about it. I wait for it to come up, and then I talk about it. So anyway, let's answer another question. I think the rest of these are so short.
On that one.
These are so short that we can jump through those. So let's see. This one comes in from. I'm going to call you MJ. Says, hello, Jeff and Michael. With the re-release of Shenmue 1 and 2, it's been said that this series is an important part of gaming history. This led me to think about movies the Criterion Collection has released.
This is Marcus, by the way.
That play what?
This is Marcus.
Wait, I don't usually say their names. They don't sign them.
Well, because that's his podcast. That's the dude that I've plugged every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I know.
Okay,
this is Marcus. This is his name.
All right. This led me to think about movies the Criterion Collection has released that play a significant role in the art of film, which leads me to my question. If there was a criterion for video games, what games do you consider would fit that level of importance in gaming? Thanks for reading, and praise some obscure Bloodborne character with a huge dick. And it's like he's plugging out the Music Monday show, and apparently that's from Marcus. So
yes, Marcus Jones.
Yeah,
I was on the Music Monday.
Okay.
For Evo.
Damn, dude. It's generally Rage Select policy not to say people's names if they don't sign them.
Yeah, but I knew who that was, so
okay.
That's why it's a shameless plug. So shameless plug to Marcus.
All right. That's the price of your plug, Marcus. Criterion video games. I think it's a pretty easy question to answer. Well, I mean, there's some that
depends on your taste, really.
Well, okay. I look at it from Pong, Pac-Man, Super Mario Brothers.
I think Double Dragon should be on there. Double Dragon, Streets of Rage, like things that are known as popular enough to people that it lasted throughout time. I think
I would put those on there way later. Criterion Collection does basics first, and then you kind of go back.
Well, that's what I mean. Like eventually, because even Criterion does that eventually.
Yeah.
Like RoboCop's on Criterion, for instance. That's just one of those things. There's certain movies that are important to certain people in that kind of aspect.
Sure.
like even for me, like Metal Gear Solid for me is that kind of thing where later down the line it would be on a list like that.
Halo. Gears would definitely have to be in there.
Gears, the God of even God of War, and
God of War 1, maybe.
Sonic, to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
Super Mario, yeah. Crash. Honestly, I would put Crash Bandicoot on there. I'm not gonna lie, I would personally, but at least maybe 2 or 3. Mario Kart.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of just a collection of what you think. I mean,
that are important to video gaming. Like a lot of them tend to vary because some of them are stuff that
Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, 7. I think like Final Fantasy 4 is a good one for that for me.
Maybe I might hew closer to just like OG Final Fantasy, and if I was going to do OG Final Fantasy, I might say Dragon Warrior before Final Fantasy.
Chrono Trigger would definitely be on there.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to think of games that are like not just good games, but like seminal works that changed things about gaming.
I think some of the old Konami beat 'em ups are pretty good with that, like the Ninja Turtles arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game. Like it really showed what you could do with a licensed product when it came to gaming.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'd probably pick one of those.
I would probably be Ninja Turtles then. If that's the case. The Ninja Turtles arcade game.
Yeah.
Even to a lesser extent the Nintendo version of it.
Star Wars arcade game.
Depends on the arcade game.
No, I mean the vector graphics Star Wars arcade game. I would probably put that on there.
I think Tron's pretty.
Tron, yeah, they made Tron arcade game.
Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, definitely Dragon's Lair.
Or Space Ace.
No, definitely not Space Ace. Definitely
Space
Dragon's
Ace.
Lair.
Dragon's Lair, definitely.
Trying to think.
Why not Space Ace though?
Space Ace is a much poorer game, and
I guess that's fair.
I guess by my thinking, the idea is like when you say the Ninja Turtles arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game, it's like, well, pick one. What's the best one of those?
So Dragon's Lair would
when it comes to the Don Bluth Laserdisc games, I think
Punch-Out arcade game.
I don't know why.
Because it's a fun fucking game. That's why.
Well, but I guess the thing is that
it was actually a very different kind of arcade game I had played at the time, especially since to duck you had to pull on it.
Right.
Instead of just like pushing down.
I guess the question is like, but what is the legacy of the Punch-Out? What is the legacy of the Punch-Out arcade game?
Punch-Out? I don't know. Like,
okay. And what the legacy of Punch-Out? I mean, it's like there's like
Mike Tyson jokes.
Four games.
Well, actually, honestly, it's a lot of rhythmic stuff because that's the thing about Punch-Out that's very interesting compared to a lot of games up until that point was that everything was it's like a choreographed dance almost. Like you have to like you look for the signs for the clues and then you'd beat each enemy that way. Like Arkham Asylum is would be something like that too because it changed the landscape of fighting in certain games.
Yeah, I can see that. Resident Evil probably go on there.
Yeah, first either Resident Evil 1 or 2. I think I'd put 2 to be honest on that list more than part 1.
I'd probably put 1 on just because that's like the progenitor, and there's
Dead Rising. I think I'd put on there too.
Yeah, really?
Because Dead Rising it was one of the first games that I played that was just like, look how open all of this shit is when it comes to the insanity of just like making shit and murdering things, like in a specific way. I guess also like the clothes you would wear, kind of thing. Like sure, some people would put that on San Andreas, but I like to think that like the goofiness of Dead Rising 1 and the time limit and all that stuff, it made it for a very interesting sort of thing. Because a lot of games started doing something like that.
And I hate that time limit in Dead Rising 1.
Anyway, it was a pain in the ass. There's a lot of games I could probably think of, but
yeah, let's cut it up there. Let's get a few of these.
Batman Forever. I'm just kidding. No, not Batman.
Before
Forever.
we go, favorite Final Fantasy game and why?
4.
Why?
Because Cecil's fucking awesome.
Cecil's
and
wang.
you have a giant whale ship that flies to the moon.
Cecil's a wang. Fuck Cecil. 6. It's better than 4. Bigger cast of characters, better fighting system, more epic story, and Kefka.
That's fair.
I mean,
but come on, man, a giant whale ship that flies to the moon.
Who is even the bad guy at 4? Golbez? Was Golbez the final boss in 4?
It's been a long time, I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, is 4 one of those ones where it's like you play through the game and then at the end it's like, it turns out there was a secret evil on the moon?
Yeah, it is actually. That's why you get the ship that goes to the fucking moon.
Yeah.
It's really fucking dumb, but I love part 4. But 7 would be my second answer to that because I love 7.
6 also had like those big ass sprite espers that you could summon that were really like cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Interesting party layout, interesting RPG system. Yeah, I've always
9
wanted.
is also really good.
I started playing 9 with Sarah for Patreon a while back, and I was just like, I don't know, this doesn't really.
It was like the last original Final Fantasy style game, if that makes sense.
You know what?
Because everything after that got a little more flashy.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with that, but I also kind of disagree with that, as I feel like it depends. If you're talking about systems wise, I think that 10 is like the epitome of the 3 people on screen fighting a monster system, because you've got all the swap out and different like elemental weaknesses and stuff like that was really refined in 10. If you're talking story wise, I would think that some of the Fabula Krista Novalis stuff also, not Novalis, the Ivalice stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and Final Fantasy 12 really harkens back, in my opinion, to what the spirit of those original stuff. I guess it depends on what you're talking about. But
there's a lot of stuff with 9 that I feel like is the end of the original Final Fantasy lineup.
I can see it. I don't know why Square won't just make a Final Fantasy game like with the combat system of 10, but a good story. Like,
I think it's because Kingdom Hearts did so well.
Yeah,
and they were like, "Oh, we could just do this instead."
Once again, Kingdom Hearts just fucking everything up, fucking it all up.
Yeah, because when Kingdom Hearts came out, it was considered like completely different,
fucking it all up. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is actually a really good game too. I really like that game. Even though it does have its problems, but it's kind of a. Have you ever played that
once,
GBA one?
Yeah,
where it's like you and your friends are in the real world and you get sucked into Ivalice, and so
that's the one where like you're basically kind of a douchebag because you're your friend was like a cripple, but he can like be all badass in this world. You're like, we gotta go home. You're like,
yes,
that dude's doing great here. Like, leave him the fuck here.
No, it's a fantasy.
Like, no, fuck you. You're gonna be a cripple and you're gonna like it.
Let's see. Josh writes in and says, "Hey guys, seems like we're hitting a lull in the PSVR games coming out. I'm not talking about small indie titles, but AAA games with PSVR integration. Why isn't anyone talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 in PSVR? Do you think it's just the summer, or is the gaming industry not taking VR seriously? Thanks, and engage the rage." That's from Josh.
It's actually a pretty good question.
I think that it is a good question. And as near as I can tell, I think that the only answer has been that I think it's starting to roll into kind of a bad place where it's like I've actually purchased a few PSVR games that I haven't even played. But like, Resident Evil 7, right? You play the whole game in VR. I think that even though that there's plenty of units out there, the companies are just looking to kind of cash in on whatever they can make guaranteed moneymaker stuff from. I don't know. Let's see.
It's kind of a tough one because a lot of things with Red Dead is they're focusing a lot more on the aspect of how the world is working right now. So maybe later down the line they might start mentioning it more.
It's to me it's frame rate. They can't keep the frame rate up on Rockstar games to what you need.
That's true, yeah.
You need the 90 hertz. Yeah. There was actually a game that came out this week called Firewall that was like a Counter-Strike style game. It was actually an online multiplayer VR game where you it's like a commando game, right, where you're shooting people. I haven't done a lot to it recently just because it's been I
know Japan is still working very heavily with their VR stuff. Their dating sims.
I think that it's the main issue that I think that you're seeing, right, is just we need more AAA developers making games that you can play. We need more Resident Evil 7s, essentially, is like a full-on game made by a big developer that you can play on VR. Because you know what? Sony sold a gajillion PSVR headsets. It's mostly just games, like high-quality games. Like I was looking at this little, it's just like a little video from this online shooter, and the problem with VR is that it looks really silly online. So I think if they just had some more
They just need more people working on these things that outside of PC.
Yeah,
because PC is constantly getting new VR kind of things.
Yes. Even I mean, in the next couple weeks, the Zone of Enders Second Runner Mars is coming out that has PSVR support.
Yeah.
I actually played the demo for that. It's terrible because, well, you're in first person, and think about playing Zone of the Enders in first person your mech just runs up into the face of something, and then you're just jamming a button and watching all these slashes happen.
That would fuck with your face pretty fast.
Yeah, it just doesn't really...
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, they just really need to put more work. Like, more people need to put more work into these games outside of PC. That's really all it comes down to, I think.
Yep. I just think there needs to be more AAA folks. More AAA folks basically putting more time into it. I don't know. It's possible that we might see something soon happening.
Is that a Creed game?
It's owned by the same company that makes this boxing game that I played.
See, punch out. I told you.
Andrew writes in and says, "Hi, Jeff and Michael. I noticed that Happy Time Murders is coming out this weekend. It's about Muppets in the real world with all the fucking murder and drugs that come with it. Can you think of anything that that was intended for kids or family friendly that was given the adult treatment and it turned out to be good?" And that's from Andrew.
Well, Greg the Bunny was one of the first things that did something similar to that.
Yeah.
And I loved Greg the Bunny for that reason.
Stuff that was originally for kids and is now for adults.
By adult, like what does he mean particularly? Like, does he mean like...
If it's in the context of Happy Time Murders, it means like...
Like Venture Brothers would be a good example of something like that if that's the case.
Yeah.
Because Venture Brothers started off as like a make fun of Johnny Quest.
Well, animation in general there's like plenty of animated shows that are, that are kind of based on. It used to be that if a show was animated, it was for children.
Yeah.
And I guess The Simpsons kind of busted that up, right? And,
well, the Flintstones kind of started it, and then The Simpsons completely busted it open at that point.
Which I think things for.
I think
kids.
Gravity Falls is a great one because it started off as something definitely for kids, but. Fuck, did it get dark?
Okay, I've never watched Gravity Falls.
It's a fantastic. It's all on Hulu if you ever get a chance. It's a fantastic show, but it's there's so many great gags in it that are just for adults. Like there's a point where there's a character named Grunkle Stan. Whenever he has an issue, like he does the same thing where when somebody when someone on a kids show curses. They say stuff like, "Oh hell, oh dang," that kind of thing.
Right.
There's a part where like they're watching a security video and he stubs his toe. He's like, "Oh dang it!" He's like, "Wait a second, there's no kids around here," and he goes, "Fuck," and then it cuts from that part because it's like, oh wait, yeah, like realistically, like he's doing that because the kids are around.
Right.
So when the kids aren't around, he's probably cursing up a fucking storm.
Okay.
Like stuff like that. Like that show has a lot of great jokes like that.
I'm trying to think of anything, but I'm having a hard time.
The Adventures of Gumball. Is another one that's kind of like that because there's an episode because it's a kid show where there's a lot of episodes that just reference things that adults would get.
Well, but they do that a lot. Like like Adventure Time is all the actual meta plot of Adventure Time is this like crazy dark post-apocalyptic thing.
No, but I don't mean by that. I mean like there'll be a joke where it's like about fan fiction.
Oh,
where it's going to be like they're hanging out and they see like an anime version of him and like a girl version of his best friend like getting married. Like shit like that. Like just random things that like no kid in their right mind would understand why that joke is funny.
I'm much more impressed a lot of times by stuff that can be watched by either children or adults. Like
that's why I think Gravity Falls is a great one for that.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit is on Hulu
That's a fantastic one.
And I watched that when I was a kid. But like I was actually saying like there's a prostate joke in it's, oh yeah, my Uncle Thumper had a problem with his prostate. He'd take these big probate and take these big probate. It's mixing up the words probate and prostate.
Yeah,
and it's like neither one of these are words that children would understand.
Well, I didn't understand why Roger was so upset that his wife was playing patty cake for a long fucking time. Right. Until I don't remember. I think it was like 16 or something when I finally saw it again at that point. I was just like, oh God. Like that's so much worse.
Yeah. I always appreciate that. Like whenever a media can have something in it for adults and something in it for children, I really like that because it means that adults and children can watch it together.
Exactly.
And everybody can have a good time just on different levels.
But yeah, the Adventure Time thing I mentioned, the meta plot for that is it's a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah. Brandon writes in and says, hello, Jeff and Michael. Brandon here with one of those dang questions. We have an ankle surgery next week and we'll be off for 6 weeks in a no-walking cast. What should I play to pass the time? I need a list of games perfect for draining time and possibly not too complex because I'll be smoking weed most of the time.
Well, guess what? Spider-Man's coming out.
Thanks for all the badass work, Brandon. I was going to say let's put a modifier on this because Brandon didn't bother to say anything. Let's make these platform agnostic games.
Okay. Well, Spider-Man's still coming out.
Yeah, Spider-Man is coming out. You know what?
Monster Hunter. It'll take up so much of your time, especially if it's Monster Hunter World.
Smoking a lot of weed and playing Monster Hunter.
Well, you could totally do that with World at least.
I'm going to put my vote in for Divinity Original Sin 2 on easy mode because you don't have to pay too much attention to the way the combat works out.
Shooters are great for that.
Obviously, Minecraft. Minecraft is absolutely dynamite for wasting a shitload of time.
Platformers. I was going to say play Crash Bandicoot, but do not do that because you'll not have the hand-eye coordination for that.
You and I have very different ideas of time waste in games.
Well, it's you would think it was a waste of time.
Damn right I do.
So technically, the answer counts. Doom. I think Doom would be great for that.
I'm just trying to think of stuff that is not going to require a lot of eye-hand coordination.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's actually, that's Harvest Moon.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Or like
the Graveyard Keeper.
Graveyard Keeper, like Stardew Valley, would probably be good for that sort of thing.
RPGs, probably.
Yep.
You can just dick around in an RPG for a long time that way.
Yep, you definitely can. I was trying to look at stuff that was like related to Divinity.
I can't say fighting games because that you would not be able to waste as much time.
No. Pillars of Eternity 2, Tyranny, Shadowrun, those are all pretty good.
Play
XCOM.
Persona. Play Persona 5.
Yeah, see, I was going to suggest that, but of course that's not platform agnostic, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to go with platform agnostic because I only have a handful of things. So you would be able to be better at coming up with answers than I would when it comes to that sort of thing.
Let's see.
Shadow of War?
I don't know.
The Tomb Raider games?
FTL, or not FTL, but the Into the Breach, which is, I guess, if you're console only, then not available on the console. But, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of, I guess it kind of, if you're just going to be kind of relaxing for days, yeah, find yourself an RPG. There's a lot of RPGs on every platform, and none of them are going to require a lot of, it's actually a really great opportunity, to be honest, because RPGs are so goddamn long, right?
You're
going to have an extended gameplay session time. So, yeah, if you're on
some of them, you don't have to think that hard on some of them.
I tell you what, if you're on the PC, if I'm not mistaken, Yakuza Kiwami, is that out on the PC? No, but Yakuza 0 is out on the PC now.
Well, Yakuza, I guess, just in general would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Do not play Shenmue, though. Do not do that. Just do not. Unless you really do have that time.
If you've never played through, like...
For forklifting.
Grand Theft Auto 5?
The Dead Rising games. Because Dead Rising 3 is on, and 4 is on the Xbox.
I mean, 4 is supposed to be bad, right?
Yeah, but they're time wasters.
I mean, yeah, but let's give them some good time wasters.
He asked for time wasters. He didn't say good.
Well, I'm saying good. Don't tell him bad time wasters.
Play beat 'em ups. Actually, play beat 'em ups. Beat 'em ups are great for that.
Let's see. I don't think of anything else here.
Donkey Kong games. I'm just kidding. No, don't do that. They're hard. The Super Mario stuff, if he has a Nintendo.
Yeah. If you have a Nintendo, there's kind of a whole different set of things. You know what? The Nier Automata, if you haven't played that, that's a long game, and you play it multiple times, and the combat in it isn't really all that difficult.
Okay.
South Park, either one of the South Park games would be good RPGs. They both come across pretty well, unless you just don't like South Park.
You just play Grand Theft Auto all day, too.
Yeah.
Just drive around, shooting people.
Valkyria Chronicles is out if you want to get caught up for Valkyria Chronicles 4. It's coming soon. I think you can get that on the PC, pretty much every other platform, unless you got an Xbox. If you got an Xbox, I don't know if I can really answer that. All right.
Play Battletoads. That's on Xbox, right?
No.
It is, technically.
What? What Battletoads?
It's on the Rare Collection.
The NES Battletoads?
Well, it's got that in the arcade game.
Oh.
The arcade game is a lot of fun.
Don't play Battletoads.
Play Battletoads. The arcade
terrible.
game. The arcade game is actually pretty fun.
Terrible game.
The arcade one is awesome.
It's a terrible.
You grab wolves by the balls and punch them. There.
It's a terrible game. It's fucking awful.
It's great. Don't listen to him.
I can give you 8 reasons why it's bad.
Don't listen to him. Battletoads arcade is great.
Detective FDRR writes in and says, "Hey Jeff and Mike. Jeff, I have a relatively short question with some backstory. Do I have your blessing to get a Rage Select inspired tattoo? On episode 25 of your podcast, an hour and 5 minutes in, you and Jason gave me one of the most inspiring moments of my life to keep going on my dreams. Today, several years later, I'm finally making progress on my dreams. I've written 2 short 6-page comics and in the process of making my first 20-page issues. There's no doubt I wouldn't have even tried to write anything without Rage Select, so I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, even though I don't get to watch as often as I should. I'll always be your fan, Detective FDRR. Your life is your own, my friend.
Follow your dreams. Play Battletoads arcade.
Don't play Battletoads. To get a Rage Select tattoo instead of playing Battletoads, it'll be much more fun.
Get a Battletoads tattoo.
Don't get a Battletoads tattoo.
I actually don't do that.
You will regret it for the rest of your natural life.
Well, do we even know what specific thing he's talking about?
Oh fuck no! That's
so oddly specific.
He said episode 25. This is episode 265 of the
no
podcast.
Way even I would remember that.
Yeah.
I actually listen to all of these.
Yeah, I don't have any idea. I'm sure, in the old days, I feel like people used to write us all the time and would be like, follow your dreams. Don't let the fuckers get you down. Do your own thing.
Do follow that. Like, if you actually have a tattoo idea that you think would be great and you know full well that you would know it was great, go ahead.
November 22nd, 2013.
Fuck me, seriously?
And it looks like
that was 5 years ago.
We were talking about the PS4 launch on that particular podcast.
Damn.
So
that's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
Wait, what time frame did he say it was? Because I'm legitimately curious.
An hour
now.
and 5 minutes in. So
I'm looking this up.
I'm sure it was just one of the things where somebody was like, "Hey, should I give up?" And Jason and I are like, "No, don't ever give up. Fucking do the thing.
Follow
do your thing.
dreams. You can eat that whole pizza.
Do the thing that you want to do. Stop letting everybody tell you what you can't do and do what you can do. Stop watching videos about how The Last Jedi sucks and write your own movie that's way better than The Last Jedi and then film it and then animate it and then take it to Cannes and then win a fucking gold medal and then get a studio contract. You'll be a fucking gajillionaire.
Just make Patton Oswalt Star Wars idea. That's what you should be doing.
Do that.
I'm not talking to you, by the way, FDR. You can do the tattoo thing. But you can also do that other thing I mentioned if you ever feel like it.
I mean, if you want to get a tattoo, that's fine. I'm a little weird about that.
It's up to him. It all depends on what the tattoo is.
Well, I know that. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just saying
if it's a tattoo that says PSAT, yeah, that's you can do that too.
It's a strange thing. Actually, one of the weirdest things is that the actual little flames in the middle of Rage Select in the caution sign in the middle. Allison made that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She even made the font that we used for the actual logo of Rage Select.
Allison's one of the best people.
Yep. I have not seen Allison in probably 2 years.
I saw her at RTX this past RTX.
Oh, there you go.
Said hi to her.
And
she
that's
was
it.
Being a hype man for Griffin.
The idea of Allison just standing out there going like, "Come on, get over here."
It was pretty great, actually.
And that's it. That's all we got. Thanks everybody for listening. Michael, we're going to tell people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on oneofus.net sometimes, although not as much as I used to.
Yeah. New schedule.
Yeah, new schedule makes things hard. But I will be on the gatherings.
Okay. There's another one of those
this Saturday, actually.
Okay, so by the time this come out, it'll have been yesterday.
It'll have been yesterday.
Yeah. And he doesn't stream those live?
No.
Oh, he just puts them together.
And then he puts them on their subscriber thing.
Okay. I don't know. That's a lot of people. I like it better when there's just one person to yell at. So I don't like having to yell at a whole bunch of people all at the same time.
Well, you can come.
Especially when people... I know.
You're always welcome to yell at people.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like last time that I went to one of those, what was I was sitting by like...
There's a lot of crazy shit that happened that time.
I was sitting by Elliot and... another guy whose name I can't remember.
Was it Guy? There was a guy there named Guy.
Was he the guy from out of town?
Yeah.
I think it was that guy.
Yeah. It was weird.
And it was like I felt like whenever I don't like to cut into when people are talking. I like to just like let people I don't like to interrupt. So it's especially hard for me to go word in edgewise on one of those shows. And I felt like the two of them, whenever they saw that I had something to say, they'd be like, "Hey, everybody, shut up! Jeff wants to say something." And I'd be like, "It's all right, guys. I don't have to say anything. I'm just fine on other people's shows, just hanging back, and I can just say what I feel like when I feel like it." So, anyway, mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Send in your questions. We always need questions, more questions, and we'll see you next week.